Okay, welcome back. Solo role Mangging, Tales of Argosa, and In the Shadow of Towers, Silveraxe. We are, well, we had a fairly good start, right? I mean, we arrived in the dwarven settlement of Harn Buldar, which, you know, nice little place. And we heard that there's some troll trouble going on, and we met with this guy who runs a cattle ranch. And, we took care of that troll, didn't we? Chased it back to its cave, where it fell asleep. And we chopped off its head and lit it on fire, and it was all pretty simple. Pretty good. And then Taggart told us about this locket that he lost. And he's pretty certain that it's somewhere in the ruins on the little island in the middle of the lake. And he would like us to go get it. And he's offered 3,000 gold pieces of gems, of amethyst. And so that's what we're gonna be doing. Now, the lake. So we can see here the map of the lake. It's a fairly big lake. Again, these hexes are 6 miles across. So from like here to here is 6 miles. Which means that this is... oh, I don't know. At least a mile, right? Across. This trail right here is 2.5. So let's say it's about a mile to get to that island. Which means swimming is basically right the fuck out, right? Like, it's just not an option. I don't think it's unreasonable to imagine that players might ask Taggart how they would actually get to the island. I suppose a lot of players might be sort of self-sufficient kind of players and just be like, well, this is our problem. We got to figure out how to do it. I'm going to leave it up to the Oracle. So we'll just give it a 50-50. Do these characters think to ask Taggart how they might get out to the island? They do. Well, that makes things a lot easier. I mention this because Taggart has a boat that he's put away in the barn, and he won't immediately tell the players that use of the boat is an option. But if we ask, you know, how we might get a boat or something like that, I think he would mention it. He's grumpy old dude, so I think he would either charge us to use it, or if it gets damaged or lost or something, we are going to have to pay for it, which is not really too bad. I mean, if we go and look at the vehicles here, actually, no, it would be a vessel, a canoe, or no, it would be a rowboat. So that's, wow, 200 gold. That's not cheap, is it? Yeah, a canoe is 40, but that can only handle one person. So this is definitely a rowboat. Although, no, the canoe has one rower, but it can handle 60 stone of cargo, which means it could handle 4 people. Whereas a rowboat can handle 100 cargo. That's 4 people and nothing, and they're all naked. So no, it's a rowboat. So yeah, 200 gold. Now, granted, this thing's probably a bit old, maybe a little beat up. I don't think he could reasonably charge us 200 gold to replace it. Yeah, cost is the price of a clean, well-made vessel. Old, rundown vessels can sometimes be purchased for less, but have worse characteristics. Judge's discretion. I don't know if we'll need to come up with the characteristics or utilize those in any way. But I would say probably he's a curmudgeon-y bastard, so he'll try to get 125 off of us if we fuck up his boat. And he probably will also tell us that up front, just so we know what we're getting into. Oh yeah, all right, fine, you can use my boat, but if anything happens to it. Okay, so we have a boat, so we'll carry it over to the lake, which is a little bit of a trek, but not too far. I mean, obviously set up shop relatively close to the lake. He goes fishing there occasionally. Right. So the lake. It says, Amethyst Lake is a beautiful, picturesque location and once a highly sought-after vacation retreat for the rich nobles of the southern city. As beautiful as it is also quite dangerous because of the creatures that inhabit the waters. Because of this, there is a strict policy for visitors to stay off the lake, which is no longer a problem as tourism has dried up due to a grim reputation. Maybe if the players thought, like, hey, do I know any lore about this lake? That would come up. But I don't think there'd be any signs posted or anything. And again, unless your character is specifically like a local to the area, which is usually not the case for something like this, I don't think I as a DM would really be inclined to just mention it for free. So it does have its own wandering monster table. This is, I assume, if you're on the lake or in the lake. So you have water termites, nixies, giant bass, and crocodiles. Giant bass, really. How big are these giant bass? Does the monster manual have stuff for... It has swarms of fish. But I don't think it has a giant fish. It has giant squids and stuff. It does have a fucking giant fish. Jesus. Well, I mean, we're not talking about a sturgeon. I guess you could do giant catfish. Yeah. Yeah, I think catfish makes the most logical sense of where, because for a lake. So a giant catfish, it's pretty tough, man. 1d4 of these would be pretty nasty. I don't know, don't think they have stats in here for... No, so does OSE have stats for a giant bass? Now we have to investigate. I wouldn't have thought it did. It does have giant fish here. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, giant bass. It does have fucking stats for it. All right, well, that's a lot easier. You saw 12 AC, 9 hit points, 1d6 damage on a bite with +1 attack. They're shy. They only attack when seeing a bite size, halfling size, or smaller morsel close by. Right. So, I mean, that encounter, if we rolled it, would be, especially in a boat, basically negligible. We'd basically see like maybe a few giant bass swimming under the water or something like that. Crocodiles, maybe. I kind of doubt it. If we're on a boat, maybe if there's enough of them and you roll really shitty on the reaction roll, yeah, they might just start attacking, but I think it's still kind of unlikely. Water termites, I don't know what that is. Giant, 1 foot to 5 foot long, wood-eating aquatic insects with a sack to take in and jet out water. Prone to feeding on passing ships, only attack creatures if cornered. Oh, okay, so they eat the ship. They cling to the bottom of the vessel, and each individual inflicts 1d3 hull damage, then drops off. 1d3 hull damage. How does that correspond here? This says Structural HP is 2 for the rowboat. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I assume, let me just check the OSE stats for a... Okay, so they don't have... Here, combat stats, hull points for a, I guess it might be a canoe in this case. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the way. Yeah, I guess it's a canoe in this case, in which case it has 5 to 10 hull points. Okay. Unless Axe has its own version of the water termite that I could look at. Which it very well might, I don't know. No, it does not. Okay. So, I think we'd go by those stats then. Say it has 6 hull points, and the water termite does 1d3 each round. And you have a 50% chance per round of spotting any leaks. They won't attack you or anything. I mean, like it says, unless they're cornered. So it's mostly just like, yeah, they're gonna eat your ship, and then you'll be left in the water, which could be really bad. So yeah, that's a rough one. And then lastly would be the Nixies. Probably have those in the Axe. Yeah. Water fairies, standing 4 feet tall, looking like beautiful elfin-featured men or women. They can be by turns helpful or vicious as the whim takes them. They can sing an enthralling song. Each enemy within earshot must make a spell saving throw at the start of its initiative. If more than one Nixie sings, suffer -2 penalty for each one. Blah, blah, blah. If you fail, you become enthralled. You must move at combat speed towards the nearest Nixie that enthralled it. If the creature's movement brings it into water, it starts drowning. A creature remains enthralled until the effect is dispelled, the Nixie is slain, or 6 turns elapse, an hour. Nixies enjoy dallying with their enthralled victims during this duration. Because their magic can entrance most threats, Nixies rarely fight. If forced to do so, they equip themselves with daggers and other tiny weapons. So it's going to be largely based around the reaction roll and stuff like that. And but the roll is pretty. It's 2d20 Nixie. It's crazy. So I mean, granted, OSE stats are a little bit nicer here. 10 Nixies together can cast a charm to enchant a victim. Although if you fail, you're charmed for 1 year. So I guess it's not really nice. They can also summon giant bass to aid them in combat. Yeah. It does say they're not hostile most of the time, but they like to play tricks. Which is always fun for a DM to come up with tricks that aren't like too nasty, but aren't just like nothing. But alright, we're gonna get out onto the lake. We're none the wiser, and we just think it's gonna be a nice, pleasant day. Now, we're not just gonna automatically roll a d4 here. But we should figure out how long this is going to take us. We have a rowboat, so voyage speed, that's 30 miles per day. So it's going to take us, well, let's see, 24 hours divided by, well, no, that would be, no, 8. Sorry. 8 hours divided by 30. 0.26 hours. Which is like 20 minutes. No, it's less than that, really, but let's say it's 20 minutes. I mean, I don't know if it's 8 hours or 24 hours. I'm not quite sure. But usually when it says per day, they mean 8 hours of travel rather than like 24-hour period. I'm not quite sure how that works though with like, you know. Yeah, I mean the bigger ships, you tend to travel 24 hours a day, right? Now I'm questioning it. Oh, 12 hours. With favorable winds. Okay, so 12 hours. So this would be 30... Why did I... $30 divided by 12. Why did I do 8 divided by 30? Okay, so it's 2.5 miles per hour. Alright, so let's say half an hour then. Okay. Why does that really matter, I guess? It really comes down to just like, am I going to do a check every time? Basically, I think there should be one check every time we cross the lake. Which really shouldn't happen too often. I don't know why we'd keep going back and forth. But it's now a question of how likely is it that we bump into something. Probably a 1 in 6. Well, it does say that it's quite dangerous. Let's say a 2 in 6. Alright, a 2 in 6. So our first trek across the waters. We rolled a 1. Alright. D4. It's a 4. Alright, well that's the crocodiles. So like I said, I think it's kind of unlikely they would just attack. These are common crocodiles. Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely, but they are carnivorous. Yeah, I think it's really pretty unlikely. Alright, how many of them are there? There's 8. There's a full accompaniment of crocodiles swimming around the area. And what's our reaction roll? 3. Oh, this is not looking good, I gotta say. The activity that they're doing is socializing. Mating rituals or something like that, and we sail right into them. Okay, well that could get complicated then. So our reaction roll is unfriendly. They may attack. They'll attack if it seems possible to win. I think they might think that. Well, let's go to ChatGPT. Do crocodiles ever attack boats? They do. They will sometimes strike, ram, or bite small boats, especially canoes, inflatables, small fishing vessels. And there's stats to prove it. Okay, I think we have a situation here then. Fuck. Can we outrun it? Maybe, but that's going to require, like, watercraft checks. They have a swim speed of 30 feet per round, which is honestly isn't that fast. We have a combat speed if we're sprinting with the oars, which I assume is not easy. Um, 210. So theoretically, we should be able to easily outrun this stuff. I think it's unfair to the players if we just, like, end up in the middle of 8 crocodiles and they immediately just start biting our boat to pieces. So we're gonna get a little bit of a heads up here. That, like, you know, 30, 40 feet out, we see suddenly a pack of crocodiles in the water. I don't know if they would really be out in the middle of the lake. It seems like something they'd be more towards shore. But I don't know enough about crocodiles to dispute it. It says they are naturally stealthy when submerged, but they're doing mating rituals, so I think it's a little bit more obvious. Again, I don't know if they would do mating rituals in the middle of the lake, but this is a fantasy world. You can do whatever the fuck you want, all right? That's the power of being a DM. If the players say, like, that's not how crocodiles, like, nope, these are fantasy crocodiles. You don't know anything about them. Alright, so anyways, 30 to 40 feet out, we suddenly spot these crocodiles, and there's a lot of them, and they're aggravated. And they immediately start swimming towards us in a huff. So we are going to bolt out of here. No one has watercraft. Why would they? So I think it's just going to be a con or int check. So Dalnir is going to try to pilot us out of here. This first roll is pretty crucial, and we have no re-rolls. If we fail, the crocodiles are going to catch up and start biting the boat. If we succeed, we're going to get a little bit away. Well, honestly, like I say, it's pretty fast. So I think, honestly, one success is probably all we need. So it mostly comes down to that. The odds of him failing are really slim. So we're just going to roll. All right, he did somewhat barely succeed. Thank God. So we just kind of turn at an angle and he's rowing like a madman to get the fuck away from these crocodiles. Well, now we know that there's some dangerous shit in the lake, so that's great. But we do end up on the island. Once the players have managed to cross Amethyst Lake and reach the island, finding the shrine entrance is simple as it is visible even from the shore. The island is nothing more than a large outcropping of stone in the central part of the lake, and the shrine entrance is a 10-foot wide cave that has been carved and cleared into a tunnel. The tunnel descends sloping downward a few hundred feet before opening up into a large natural cavern. Okay. Alright, so we're heading down into a cave. That means we gotta light a torch. Which is annoying, because I have 2 people using 2-handed weapons, and then 1 that wants to be a stealth with a bow. So no one's really ideal for the torch, but it's gonna end up being Rethi. She's really the only viable option. So, do we even have torches? Oh god, we have 1 torch? Did I throw some on the mule? No, we have 1 fucking torch. Okay, well, if that goes out, we're really up shit creek. Okay, so we got a torch going. One hour. Okay, and we're gonna descend down into the cavern, into the shrine here. So we can see then that well, first of all, we have a wandering monster table, so that's fun. So we come to like descends down a few hundred feet before we put it up into a large natural cavern. So we're in like this cavern, and we can see that there is water in front of us, about 4 feet deep at its deepest, which is a little tricky for Nefira, because I don't think she's super tall. Do we have a stat for a halfling height here? 3 feet tall. So she might have to. Well, dwarves are actually pretty short too. I might have to check. See how tall dwarves are anywhere here. Not really. Probably says somewhere in the axe book, I suppose. Really? No section? Oh, there it is. Size and weight. Okay, but it doesn't mention dwarves. I guess probably I could just look up the D&D 5e table. I'm almost certain that'll mention it. Or yeah, about 4 feet tall. So he's up to like his fucking neck or shoulders in most of this area, so this is pretty shitty. I'm tempted to bring the boat down here, but I also don't want to damage it, so this is just rough. I guess probably we're gonna hug the side. I imagine that's where it's the most shallow. So it might only be like 2.5 feet there. So not too bad for Dalnir. You know, up to like his abdomen. Nefira is up to like her shoulders there. And Rethi obviously is pretty much fine. Okay, so right, we're hugging it. And there are 3 water termites down here in this watery area. It says they won't attack the players, but if they are carrying anything that is wooden, such as tools, torches, etc., they will certainly try to devour it. So it's not a combat per se, but it's just, yeah, it's like this big 3-foot-long bug that's just like skittering towards you in the water. And is trying to like nip at the torch. Well, I don't know if it would go for a lit torch. Bugs generally don't like fire. I don't think we are carrying any other wood of any kind. I guess technically, like, she is carrying a short bow. And arrows. And they do have, like, a hand axe, the handle for that. The hilt, you know, it's made of wood. The shield is not made of wood. Specifically, it's a steel shield. I remember that. Yeah, I suppose mostly it's Nefira's short bow on whether or not they'd be interested in biting it. I do think she's probably like sort of holding it above her head. So yeah, I think it is kind of like it's out there. Okay. So the water termites are approaching. Would we just assume that it's they're hostile. There are big gas bugs swimming towards us. They also can spray an irritant once per turn. Can spray one target, save versus poison or stun for 1 turn. So they can do that. They have 10 hit points. Alright. Honestly, I think if you attack one even, though, I think there's going to be a morale check. Probably. Yeah, I would imagine. Alright, so I think Dalnir's just like, he's not putting up with this shit. He's going to swing his scimitar. At the first one that tries to nip at Nefira's bow. Okay, he missed wildly. So he just hits the water and splashes water over the place. I think Nefira's gonna have to roll probably an opposed dex check here to see if it grabs the bow out of her hands or something. So she's got pretty good odds though. Okay, she succeeded by 1. I need now to come up with the dex for a water termite. So again, we go to here and just sort of... I'm sure if I search D&D water termite, I'll get like probably 5e stats, and I can just take the dex from there and call it a day. I don't have to go to Tales of Argosa. But yeah, I mean, I think a fire beetle has 10 dex. Yeah, I mean, we could, I suppose. Really? Not ever discussed in 5th edition D&D. It is, I guess. I mean, I've never really seen them in anything before this. Okay, well then we don't have stats for their decks. So I suppose 10 is probably what we're talking about. Alright. They rolled a 14, so they failed, so she barely sort of nips it away from their teeth. I guess they... I don't know, can they just like smell? I guess they can smell wood. So maybe they're gonna go for the hand axe on Rethi's belt in the water. So she'll also have to roll. Alright, she succeeded by 8. They succeeded by 3, so she kind of turns her body away from it. And she's now going to swing as well with her bastard sword. So I have to keep changing this depending on if she's one-handing or two-handing it. So she's just rolling one hand. Alright, she does hit it. Nice and hard for 7 damage. So blood sprays out. Yeah, they're failing to get the easy bite to eat, and one of them just took a nice chunk of hit. I think he's gonna at least roll a morale check. Which is it's a will check. So I'd have to figure out the water termite's will. Again, I guess we'll just go with the fire beetle because it's the easiest. Or a giant centipede, I guess. We're probably talking about 10 though. The hell was that beetle? Fire beetle has 12. We'll go with 12. Alright. Okay, so they rolled a 10, so they succeeded. So the one that was injured is not putting up with this. So now I think we're into combat. Although they're not cornered. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting question. Would they just put up with just getting almost killed for a bite to eat? I don't think they would attack, but I think they're going to try like one more attempt to try to eat some wood. So two of them are going to try to go for Nefira's bow. So she's got to roll 2 dex checks. She succeeded by 10, so he can't really succeed. Yeah, he failed. And then the second one, she succeeded by 9, and he failed. So she's really wiggling the bow away from them and squirming. And then one's going for Rethi's hand axe again. She succeeded by 3. He failed, so she moves out of the way again. Dalnir's gonna try to kill one. Okay, he does hit one for 6. She's gonna try to finish off the one she hit already. She fucking crit. Well, she rolled a natural 19, which for a fighter is a crit. So she deals 7 damage. Okay. We don't have a blade trauma table. I gotta roll that manually. Which is 1d10 plus 2. Whoo! That thing's fucked. That thing is uber fucked. 12 on the blade trauma is a severed neck. Must make a luck con save or be decapitated. I think it's already dead, though. Yeah, it's definitely already dead. So one of them's dead. One of them's pretty injured. They're going to roll another morale check now as a group. Probably with disadvantage. Okay, so they rolled a 15 and they failed, so they're going to scurry away into the darkness. And that was our encounter. Wasn't really a combat. I can't give a short rest. I don't really need short rest except for one thing, and that's to get his spellcasting back. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we could have very easily lost some pieces of gear there, so it worked out. So we're going to keep hugging this wall all the way to get to 3 here. So I don't think we'll even know about this 2 area. Right, so we're going to deduct 1 from our torch there, which is bad. 3. 2 rows of pillars lead to a heavily oxidized and rusted metal double door. At the foot of one of the pillars is a leather map case. Okay, well, we'll pop that open, and inside is a treasure map. Torn parchment map. It was left here by another adventurer who decided this line of work wasn't for them any longer. Though the players may never know this. Yeah, I would imagine not. Shows only a portion of the dungeon the treasure is hidden in. Directions are simple and lead to Torthan's tomb, which is located in Hex H9. Okay. Far south in Torthan's Hall, look for a massive sinkhole. Best of luck to whoever finds this map. And it's a very simple thing. Beware, this door is trapped. Treasure room. I left my bow and jewels here with a secret door. Huh. That's pretty handy. Okay. And it leads to Torthan's tomb. Which is all the way down here. Very far from here. Many miles away. But, hey, it seems like an easy enough little dungeon to get some nice treasure. So, hell yeah. We'll see about doing that. Alright, we're going to roll for wandering monsters at this point. So, D6. Nope, nothing. We're good. So then we move up to the door that we see. And it does say that it is stuck. So we get to the eternal question of stuck doors. Now, OSE is pretty clear about that. I guess it's based on your strength. So for Dalnir, he would have a 5 in 6 chance of busting down this door. So that's OSE rules. That's BX rules. If we go to X, I think that's going to be based on your your adventuring proficiency. So it's a base roll of 18 or higher, which I think is fairly close to 1 in 6. 18 divided by 6. Well, no, it'd be 20 divided by 6. Yes. Okay, so that is 1 in 6. But that's modified by your strength. So it's 4 times your bonus or penalty to your dungeon bashing throws. So every point of your modifier is +4 to that. So for Dalnir, that would be 12. So he would succeed on a 6 or higher. But I don't think... Why do I keep closing the fucking calculator? 20 divided by... No, that can't be right. So 6 or higher. So he fails on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a 25% chance of failure. So it's not as nice, I suppose, as OSE. But that's if you wanted to do it that way. Tales of Argosa, that's a good question. I assume it's going to be an athletics check. It says breaking down a door. I don't know if it says anywhere like sort of the DC, or not a DC, it's you're rolling under. So usually I think it's just like it's an athletics check, and depending on the nature of the door or something, there might be penalties. If it's a really like high-end door or sturdy door, or it's got like, you know, what is the term I'm looking for? Bracing or something on the other side, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. There could be penalties to the roll or disadvantage on the roll. I mean, no matter what system we use, he has a pretty good chance of breaking down the door. There's no doubt about that. Shadow Dark has to have rules for that, right? Just says strength is used for bashing open doors. DC 12, kicking open a stuck door. Okay, so in Shadow Dark then we'd have... It seems like the worst odds, to be honest. He'd have a +4, so he'd succeed on an 8 or higher. Yeah, that is by far the worst odds of any of these systems. Curious. That's part of why I don't love Shadow Dark as much as Tales of Argosa. It's just so swingy with a D20 and small modifiers compared to a roll under system. Do we know what the door is made out of? I don't think so. Oh, yes, we do. It's rusted metal double doors. Okay, so it's fairly sturdy. I'm going to have Dalnir roll in athletics with -4. So he technically has -3 to this. He rolled a 1. He kicks open these doors better than anyone has ever kicked open any doors ever. That is noisy, though. They are metal, and he slammed into them very loudly. So that is going to be another encounter check. Okay, we avoided it. And we are going to descend down to level 2. I'm hoping we find some other torch or something, because this is going to be a problem. I have to tick this down again. Yeah, dungeon crawling is very slow. These are 10-minute intervals. So then we're going to arrive in 4. A large room with 4 doors and a round 10-foot pool in the middle. The pool is purely decorative. Don't know what that means exactly. So it's not filled with water. In the fountain is a heart-shaped locket with some dwarven runes etched into it. Huzzah! We could leave right now, which is probably the very smart thing to do. Because getting out of here is going to take, like, another 20 minutes. Assuming we don't get bothered by the termites or anything, which I don't think we will. Yeah, I probably should leave. It's the prudent, smart thing to do. And if I had come in with more torches, obviously we wouldn't have any issue, but I was dumb and completely forgot about that. And we've already just picked up 3,000 gold pieces worth of treasure, which is not quite enough to level us up, unfortunately, which is why I might poke my head into another room just to see. But all right, let's roll another random encounter check because we entered this room. We're fine. We have 4 doors. I'm going to roll a d4. 1, 2, 3, 4, just to see which one we poke our heads into. 1, okay. So we go through this door. And there's another door on our left. We will listen at the door, even though I already know it doesn't matter. So it's a perception check. Great success. We hear absolutely nothing. So Dalnir is going to crack open the door. We're going to tick down our torch again. And inside we see 4 skeletons laying on the ground. And as the torchlight passes over them and the door opens, they start animating and rising to their bony feet. And we have ourselves an honest-to-God combat, finally. Okay, let's roll initiative. Great success. Okay, so we get to go immediately, and it is going to be beautiful. So, I could cast Turning. Except these are 3 hit dice skeletons, which is fairly unusual. If we go to Axe and look at just the base skeleton, they're 1 hit die. But I think they can scale. It says it's created from non-human bones, have a number of hit dice equal to what the creature possessed in life. These would be definitely beefy skeletons. Tales of Argosa, of course, has skeletons. We like to cross-reference everything across multiple systems. One hit die. Yeah, I mean, maybe some other, like a Draugr or something is a little beefier. Well, they sure are. It's a big-ass Draugr. Those are 7 and 9 hit dice. Yeah, Death Knight. We're not fighting Death Knights. It's very unusual. You don't often see 3 hit dice skeletons, so I'm not quite sure where they took that from or why they decided on that. It certainly makes them a little trickier of enemies. Yeah, okay, well, we'll roll with it. They have 13 AC, 13 hit points each, and they can attack twice with claws for 1d3 damage plus paralysis. Skeletons with paralysis? Where are you taking this from? Here's the OSE skeleton. Has 4 hit points. And usually attacks 1d6 or with their weapon. With +0. So these are like some weird uber skeletons. These are like ghoul skeletons or something. Yeah, they're sort of ghoul skeletons. Brave ghouls get 2 claw attacks at 1d3 plus paralysis. No, the claws don't do it. Only the bite does it. I don't know what these things are. I guess it's a unique thing. We're just gonna roll with it. They're just a very odd entity, but that means turning's not gonna function because they have 3 hit dice. So Dalnir is just going to, Now, if I recall specifically, Axe doesn't involve, like damage types. As in, skeletons are not like immune to piercing or something like that, which I thought was really interesting. And I think I looked this up during a session with my family because we were discussing that, and that didn't really come into play until like 2nd edition D&D or something. So I think Shadow Dark also doesn't do that. I think OSE doesn't do that. If we just look at the Shadow Dark skeleton, yeah, they have no traits of that type. And OSE doesn't mention it either. So yeah, I remember looking that up and being really surprised that was like a 2nd edition change. Because you always think of old school D&D and it's like, oh, well, you got to use like bludgeoning weapons against skeletons. But no, that was not introduced for quite a while. All right. So she's just going to shoot her bow. Don't think she gets the benefit of backstab because it's not surprised. And I think flash powder is probably pointless. So yeah, it's just a bow attack. I don't think there's anything special going on here. So she's gonna shoot one. She fumbled. Which in this case doesn't really do anything because it doesn't have a ranged weapon. Fine. What an embarrassment. Dalnir is going to charge in, though. I don't think he'll actually charge in. I think he's just going to waddle in, but he'll swing his big-ass scimitar against one. Alright, that is a hit for 8 damage. So one of them is at 5. And Rethi is going to move step in step with him and swing her... she's going to swing Sink Silver, her bastard sword, against the same one. Crit for 7. Excellent. Now, I believe she also gets... I probably should have cleaved. I should have done a major exploit here. Because this turn is probably going to hurt a bit. I should have cleaved with Dalnir. I guess let's go back. So Dalnir is going to do a major exploit to try to attack 2 other skeletons nearby with his big giant scimitar. So this is just the standard kind of rule that I've just gone with and I've DM'd with it, and I think it just works. Maybe it makes it too easy to do cleaving attacks, and it's just kind of like, it's just like always the major exploit you end up doing. And maybe I should make it harder or not as viable. But it's one that's kind of specifically mentioned in the section on major exploits. Making wild swings with a cold iron flail to drive away 3 shades clustered around a fallen ally. They can increase hit point damage to a single target, but it might increase total damage by affecting multiple targets. Like, it seems like it really just leans towards major exploits if you're fighting a group of enemies, of a cleave attack if you're fighting multiple enemies. So I do it where if you're just trying to hit one other target, it's just a luck strength roll. But for every additional target, it's -2. So I'm trying to hit 2 other ones, so it's going to be luck strength -2. Alright, he failed. He could re-roll. And I'm worried about how nasty these skeletons are going to be, so I think he will re-roll. He's going to spend his re-roll on that. Great success. Excellent. So that means that I'm going to roll one more set of damage, and that's going to apply to both of the other skeletons. So he got 2d5. 2d5 plus 3. 11. God damn. Alright, so we got 1 dead, and we have 2 sitting at 2 hit points. And that's the power of the major exploit. Now, his luck did go down, and it's hard to recover, and that's the big sort of issue. But that was technically a free luck from Nefira, so it's not too bad. Alright, now the skeletons are going to go. I ruled in my head, I didn't say it yet, that 2 of them have weapons. We'll say short swords. And one of them is going to use his claws. So one of the guys with short sword on Dalnir, the claw guy on Dalnir, and then the other one on Rethi. So they have +2 for their roll. That is a big miss on Rethi. Against Dalnir with the short sword, that is a hit. So that's going to be just d6 damage, I guess. Technically, they might get a damage bonus. No, they don't. No, they don't. Tales of Argosa does abide by the more modern thought about it, so that actually makes them immune to piercing damage. But I said I specifically don't really utilize these stat blocks, so I don't know why I looked there for a damage bonus. But that's just because players in Tales of Argosa do get damage bonuses for strength and stuff. So yeah, sometimes I might check that, but no, it's a d6 damage on Dalnir. 3 damage. He is injured, which is great, because that means that this is going to be a significant combat. So we will actually get a short rest after this. Alright, and then the claw guy. So he gets +2 twice for 1d3 plus paralysis. First one is a hit, the second one is a miss. 1d3 damage. 3 damage, down to 13. And paralysis. Which, let me just check the ghoul stats for what the roll is. It was a death saving throw, right? Technically, it's a little trickier. Is there just an easier paralysis that I can just look at? The ghoul one is linked to ghoul fever, and these guys don't do ghoul fever. Paralyze? How do you spell paralyzed? That's not how you spell paralyzed. Paralyzes. Fuck. I can't do math, I can't spell, just nothing. Just looking for, like... I don't know. This is the problem when you just come up with, like, your own stat blocks and stuff. I don't know how long the paralysis is meant to last. I don't know if it's meant to be like a ghoul or if it's just for, like, one turn. I have no idea. You can't just say paralysis and that just solves all your problems and you're done writing the module. It's like, I don't know what that means. Sometimes paralysis is, like, practically permanent, you know? And then other times it's for or maybe a round or 1d3 rounds or something. Here, I guess, is the general paralysis effect for monster creation from Axe. You have to succeed on a paralysis save or be paralyzed. On a 1 to 2, paralysis lasts for 1d10 rounds. 3 to 6 lasts for 2d4 turns. So I think generally paralysis is not meant in the old school sense to be like a one-turn thing. Paralysis is a major sort of effect. Yeah, I mean, I can, mostly you link it to ghouls. And that's just 2d4 turns save versus paralysis. So, yeah, I mean, it sure seems like... Oh, I guess the ghouls actually do it on the claw as well, which is what I thought. That must just not be an axe. Right. So what's a paralysis saving throw for our purposes? Well, that we have to go back to my other table here for my house rules. So paralysis is going to be luck con. So we gotta just roll luck. No, not roll luck con. Fail. Okay, so Dalnir is paralyzed now for 2d4 turns, which is pretty bad. So we're gonna roll that. 8 turns. So he's gonna be paralyzed for an hour and 20 minutes, which is pretty bad because our torch is running out and we're gonna have to now carry him somehow across the water. And we don't really have the manpower to do it. Rethy's kinda strong, I suppose, and he is a dwarf. So, well, yeah, but he's pretty bulky. It's gonna be tricky, but he goes down. It wouldn't be that big of a deal except for that whole water section of 4 feet water, so we have to keep him from drowning. But we have to get out of here before the torch goes out, so it's not looking good. New initiative, so now Rethy has to roll. She fails terribly. So now she's getting the brunt of all the attacks. So the first short sword is going to be a hit for 2 damage. Second short sword is a hit for 1 damage. It's not too bad. First claw attack is a miss. Second claw attack is a hit. Technically, it's a natural 19. Which, if we follow Tales of Argosa skeleton rules, they will animate another skeleton. Nothing will piss off players more than this, as I found out. They will just despise you and everything you stand for when you just say that, like, oh yeah, another skeleton shows up. Especially because these things have 3 fucking hit dice. So we're gonna go with Blade Trauma instead. It's gonna be pretty light Blade Trauma, because it's just a claw attack, so we're going to go with, like, a D4 Blade Trauma. Okay, so it's a 2. So disarmed. Attacker might choose to make a dex check to catch the weapon in their hand beneath their foot, kick it away. Okay. Well, so, okay, Rethy is just disarmed. Then we roll damage, which is a D3. So 2 more damage. And then Rethy has to make a luck con check to avoid paralysis. He succeeds. Now it's our turn. Nafira is probably going to come into melee because she has the finisher ability. So she can actually add backstab damage to a wounded target. Just the damage, not the +4 attack bonus. Which doesn't really matter because they only have 2 hit points left anyways. But yeah, she's going to go in. Does she? There's no finesse weapon. She can't use dex for anything. So she has to use strength, which isn't great, but I guess you're talking about a... She's 10% more likely to shoot, but she'd be shooting into melee. Which means that the target gets half cover, which is +2 AC. So it's really a horse apiece. So she's going to go in with a bone saw and try to cut down one of these injured skeletons. So just roll normal. Okay, so she rolled an 11, which is a miss. Yeah, there's nothing for it. Rethi is going to, she's going to pull out the hand axe instead, and she's going to swing that at one of the injured ones, and she may end up cleaving if she hits. Yep. She missed. That's pretty bad. We have new initiative, which goes back to Nefira now. Success. Nefira is going to try to stab it again. Miss. Rethi with the hand axe again. Miss. Fuck! They're going to keep compounding onto Rethi. So, first short sword, miss. Second short sword, hit, natural 19. Again, we'll follow short sword blade trauma, which is 1d12. Really? For a short... Oh, yeah, I guess it is. 2 again. So now Rethi loses her hand axe. Now she's going to have to grab a weapon off the ground. She is still holding the torch. She could swing that, but that offers a pretty strong chance of it going out. And that's not good. So it is what it is. So she takes D6 damage. 6, so she's down to 9 now. Then the first claw attack, miss. Second claw attack, miss. Okay, good. New initiative again. Now back to Rethi. Okay. So now we have to adjudicate what it takes to pick up one of her weapons. There are ops in Tales of Argosa, and there are no way to avoid them. I've toyed in the past with introducing like a withdrawal rule if you want to just use your action to not take ops. Yeah, I mean, usually I abide by that. I guess she could try to just punch one of these skeletons. We have rules for that somewhere. Yeah, it causes 1d2 damage plus your strength mod. Fuck it. Yeah, she's gonna try to punch out one of the skeletons and kill it. She could also pull out the shield and shield bash, I suppose. 1d6 plus strength mod damage. That's probably better, isn't it? Unless she has to be proficient in that, but I don't think so. Where does it mention shield bashing? What the fuck? Where did I get this rule from? +1 AC may negate an attack, may shield bash. Not mentioned anywhere. Where did this come from? Unless it's somewhere it says you may bash with a shield. Oh, there it is. Shield may be used as a second weapon, causing 1d3 plus strength mod damage. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. That should be 1d3, not 1d6. Okay, that's where the rule is. Alright. Fine, she'll try to bash it with her shield. So, that's 1d20 plus 2. 13 is a hit. 1d3 plus 1 means it's dead. I'm not going to try to cleave with the shield, so we'll just accept that. Good. Now, Nefira is going to try to finish off the other one with her bone saw. Still missed. She just can't. She just can't. Her rolls are so bad, though. It's not a matter of, like if she was shooting her bow, she would also miss all this shit. Yeah, she would not have hit anything. Oh, no, she would have hit there. She rolled an 11. I mean, if the target didn't have a bonus. But like I said, it's a horse apiece. Okay, so they get to go. There's 2 of them left. The short sword guy swinging at Rethi. Miss. The first claw. Hit. Second claw. Hit. That's bad. That's 2 paralysis checks. So first one does 1 damage, so 4 total. She's down to 5. She has to make 2 luck con checks. She succeeded on 1. I don't think this should be lowering her luck. I think this should just be an oracle roll. Because that's really mean. Luck is hard to get, and that's just mean. So, yeah, it shouldn't be lowering it. Despite that, she still succeeded twice. So she should still be at 12, which would have been easier to succeed then. Yeah, because it's really easy if you do shit like that to get your luck down to like 5. And then you basically have to just retire your character for like 2 months in order to get your luck back. Technically, there is a rule where at the end of an adventure, you get everything back, including all your luck. I don't know where it said that, but that was discussed in the Discord I was reading. Or maybe it was in the variant rules. I know there's a variant rule for getting luck back. Longer adventures. Apply the Lone Wolf luck recovery rule, allowing the party to prop their luck back up when they draw below 10. So this is if you're playing with 1 character. On a short rest, you make 3 willpower checks instead of 2. If your luck is less than 10, on a great success, you may restore 1 point of luck as a further option. Yeah, that's pretty handy. But there is definitely a thing somewhere in here where if you finish an adventure, you get all your luck back, everything back. Which is good, but it depends on the type of campaign you're running, the type of game you play. I tend to do just like a very kind of constant, ongoing game of... There isn't really any, like, recognizable adventure. It's just like one lengthy campaign. And so if you play that way, people are discussing in the Discord, you really should find alternate ways of giving luck back to your players, or just occasionally just be like, okay, you get all your luck back now. Like, find some sort of break in the campaign that you can just say, like, okay, you get all your luck back. But I think some people did recommend using this longer adventure rule, which I probably should keep in mind and let them know. But because otherwise, yeah, it's very easy to have just shit luck forever, and then you fail everything, and it's terrible. And then you die. So I'm not going to count shit like dual paralysis or whatever is just destroying your luck score. Okay. New initiative. I think we're back to Nefira. That's good. Great success. All right. Rethi is going to shield bash the injured one. So D20 plus 2. She hit. It's dead. Excellent. And then Nefira is going to try to bone saw the last one, which is at full health. That's the one with the claws. She missed again. Okay. This one is going to keep trying to claw Rethi. First one, crit. Second one, hits. This is bad news bears. So critting for monsters, I'm pretty sure just means like max damage. Yeah, max damage. So 1d, so it's 3 damage plus 1d3. So she's down to 1 hit point. This is bad, because this thing's still at full health. And she has to roll 2 more luck con checks. We'll do oracles. She failed. She's going to reroll. She failed, so she can't reroll, which means she goes down. She's paralyzed. Okay, it's up to Nefira 1v1 against a skeleton. And she does not have good cons, so this could be pretty bad. Also, there's the problem of how we're going to get out of here. She can't drag these two through the water. So she might have to leave them here and go get torches. So she'll have to row across the... Well, if there's any wood outside on the island... I think it did say it was like a rocky outcropping or something, but it's an island. No, it says nothing more than a large outcropping of stone. Okay, then it's going to be kind of tricky. I might have to, like... Yeah, I don't know. We might have to break some piece of equipment or something. Probably, like, the hand axe. We might be able to convert that into a torch. Honestly, what's probably going to happen is we're going to close the door and just sit in the darkness until these two come to. But okay, she has to win this fight first. So we... Right, so it's a new turn. New initiative. Okay, she goes. She's going to try to stab it. Oh, natural 19. Excellent. And 6 damage. Okay. That's very good. It's down to 7 hit points now. And we get to roll d12 on the blade trauma. 7. Shorn ear. See, this is why I'm not super in love with the blade trauma compared to, like, DCC's crit tables. Because it's like, it's a fucking skeleton, you know? It doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. But I guess that's the point. It's nothing. Most of these just are going to be absolutely nothing to a skeleton. So I guess that's it. Whereas if you used blunt trauma, maybe there would be some better stuff. What would be like a blunt trauma? Like if I rolled a 7 for that. No, that would be also a mangled ear. Never mind. Yeah, and last time I played this and was doing solo stuff, I think I was trying to have ChatGPT rewrite all the trauma tables to be more, like, generic. I don't think I'd want to... I don't know, I'd be maybe tempted to just adapt DCC's crit tables as an alternative, because I think those are a lot more generic. Let me pull those up real quick. Just so we can just kind of see. Okay. So, like, let's say you do the basic crit table, right? It's a D20 table. So it's a lot bigger. And the thing that makes it generic, I suppose, is that most of these are just, like, extra damage. And I think in that case, it's not really... Like... So on this table, if you roll a 0 or less, because it's modified by your luck score, you do an extra d6 damage. The thing is, though, it's like... That's your crit. Right, this is not an extra effect or anything in addition. Like, natural 19 is not a crit, it's a 19. So, a crit is max damage. 19 is just like an extra bonus effect. Adding an extra d6 is pretty significant. Although, you are disarmed. So, honestly, it's not... And maybe that is kind of fair. Whereas if you get a 1, then it's just 1d3 damage. A 2 is 1d4. A 3 is 1d3 damage, and the foe falls to the bottom of the initiative count next round. We'd have to rewrite the whole table, obviously. 5 is an extra 1d6. 6 is a disarm, and you get a free attack if the enemy stoops to retrieve his weapon. I don't know if that really needs to be said, but I guess, yeah. 7 is plus 2d3. 8... the foe is unable to attack next round. I think I could adapt some of these and I could reconstruct a new table. The only issue is I do like that Tales of Argosa divides it based on the type of damage. Blade, blunt, missile, blast, stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not really happy with either thing completely. And that's why I was trying to just rewrite it. I don't think I have those logs on ChatGPT anymore. Yeah, I don't know. But in this case, it's just nothing. We're just doing 6 damage. So it's at 7 health. And it's going to counterattack now with its 2 claws. If Nephira gets paralyzed, it's a TPK. Miss, and that is a hit for 1d3 damage. 2 damage. She has to roll Luck Con. She failed. She's going to re-roll. Success. Okay, we're still in it. She's rolling initiative. Fail. All right. Attacks again. Miss. Miss. She's going to bone saw again. Miss. New initiative. Terrible failure. It swings twice. Miss. Hit for D3 damage. 2 more damage. And her Luck Con check. Again, I don't know why. Lowered it. Oh, because I hit and re-roll. Failure. That's TPK. Assuming that the skeleton sits there and keeps attacking our corpses. Our paralyzed bodies. I don't know if it would. It's not a ghoul. Skeletons are, you know, generally... That's a good question, I suppose. Skeletons are not creatures in the traditional sense. They have only the barest flicker of sapience. Because of their stupidity, any instructions given to us by its creator must be very simple. In the absence of order or opponents, skeletons simply tumble to the ground in bony heaps. Honestly, I don't think it's TPK. If we assume that these are not given any orders, and they have no opponents, which they don't, we're all completely helpless on the floor, I think it just tumbles back to the ground and goes back on the ground. You can argue with this, I suppose. And if you're DMing the situation like this and you want it to be a TPK, go ahead. But I think there's a very rare situation where this would normally never come up because skeletons don't normally have a paralysis attack, but these specific weird skeletons do, and they're not ghouls, which actually would want to feast on our flesh. The skeleton just sees there's no opponents and tumbles back down. But there are issues. There are very much problems still in our future. Because I only rolled for Dalnir. He was going to take 8 turns, an hour and 20 minutes. Our torch would be done. Because our torch only has 30 minutes left. So unless someone is going to roll 20 minutes, the bare minimum for the paralysis, whenever anyone wakes up, it's going to be in pitch darkness, and the skeleton is going to get back up, and then we have some problems. I'm pretty sure they have lightless vision. So, let's roll for Nephira's 2d4. She rolled a 2, so she will actually get up back in the light. Rethi rolled a 4, so she'll back up in 40 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes later, Nephira, she suddenly regains control of her body. It's paralysis, so we're not unconscious, by the way. We're looking around. We just cannot move any of our muscles. So she eventually regains control. And she's going to hop back up. And then the skeleton immediately hops back up. And we're right back where we were. So new initiative. She failed. He's going to swing again. Miss. Miss. Okay, now she's going to stab it. Miss. New initiative. Great success. Stab. Miss. It swings. Hit. Hit. Fuck. 5 more damage. She's down to 4. And she has to make 2 more luck con checks, which are the not great odds. She fails again. She's back down. Okay, well, so much for that. Okay, so now there's an hour left for Dalnir, 20 minutes left for Rethi, and 40 minutes left for Nefira. Torch goes out. We're plunged into darkness, and they are aware that as soon as they stand up, the skeleton is going to get up and attack them. Could Rethi, when she becomes able to move again, could she say or whisper something without causing the skeleton to get up and, like, attack them? That I'm not really sure about. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of fantasy creatures here. We don't even have flint and steel, do we? How did I not have flint and steel, but I had torches? Did none of my templates come with flint and steel? Did any of my templates come with torches, I guess is the question. I don't think so. I know some templates have... oh, some of them do come with tinder boxes. Okay. And what did she end up being for her class? Tomb Raider. Right. So she could have taken the tinderbox, but she left it behind along with the lantern. And went with the military oil instead. She had so few slots. I should have dumped it off on the wagon, but I don't know if I would have taken it in. Okay, so we have no way of lighting anything anyways. We have a lot of problems. It's going to be really tough to survive getting out of this place now in the pitch darkness. Okay, fine. Well, we're gonna say that she can whisper without the skeleton being disturbed. So she's gonna whisper to the others they're just gonna wait there so that they can get up together and finish this thing off. So we're gonna pass all the time. They're all back up. They're all able to move. And they're all gonna get up simultaneously. And now we have to roll on how fucked we are for fighting in pitch darkness. And as a clue, we're pretty fucked. We're blind. So it's a 66% miss chance. Assuming we can narrow down the target's location by some means. It's going to make noise, the clattering of bones and stuff like that. But yeah, we have a 1 in 3 chance of hitting it before even rolling the attack roll. So it's not good. There's just no option here. So we all get up, it all clatters, we hear it, we roll initiative, we succeed. Dalnir is going to give it his best shot. He can't turn it. He's too high of hit dice. So he's just going to swing. We're going to roll the d6. We need a 5 or a 6. So he misses. Rethi, she's going to try. She misses. Nefira misses. So we all missed. And he gets advantage against any of us. So he's going to target Dalnir. He gets advantage on both of his attacks. So the first one, miss. Second one, miss. Excellent. New initiative. Success. Dalnir swings. He does land a shot, theoretically. So now he's going to roll the scimitar. He does hit, and he does kill it. Good God. Okay, that's fine. Navigating in the darkness. That's our big issue. This is honestly what I would do if I was a player here. I would honestly have Dalnir try to beseech and pray to his god for some sort of divine aid in this dark and unholy place. We've sort of done his will. We've killed these horrible skeletons, this undead. We've put them to rest. But now, we are in need of his aid. That is what I would tell the DM that we want to do. And that's not in the rules or anything like that. There's no divine aid or anything like that. But that would be my best sort of idea. And I do think it is kind of a fringe thing. It's not something you really want to allow often. But I think, honestly, it's probably our only chance of actually surviving. Theoretically, though, if we wanted to actually navigate our way out of here, it wouldn't be too bad. We know the layout of the way we came in. So, if I'm going to make a roll to see if we get divine aid. If it fails, though, I don't think we'll get any treasure here. The door is still adjacent, or the door is still ajar. There's no light. So we'll still have to feel around, but the door is ajar, so we should be able to find like an opening. And then if we just keep our right hand on the wall, we go up the steps slowly. We go, keep our hand on the wall all the way. We go up more steps. We end up here back to those doors. And then if we hug the left wall, which we did, we should be able to see light on the far side here. And then from that point, it shouldn't really be too difficult. So this could be a lot worse if we were further in, but in this specific case, I think it's doable. The only issue is going to be random encounter checks. We're going to be very quiet, but we are going to be going very slowly. And if we do end up with a random encounter, like against 1d8 skeletons, it's TPK. I mean, there's no option there. But let's first try for divine aid. Basically, this is going to be a divine lore check, and we have to get a great success. That's how I'm ruling it. And this is not going to be something you can do often, like maybe once per adventure, maybe, but it has to be a really dire scenario. So it's unlikely. So divine lore is actually normally intelligence. Cultist can use willpower, but his intelligence is better, so we're gonna roll intelligence. All right, he failed, so it is what it is. Although, I would get a short rest when we finish the skeleton, so we should do that. Alright, so he actually got 2 great successes on that. So he's going to... probably should get hit points back, but I'm going to get a reroll back, and I'm going to get his... spell back. Okay. So I'm probably going to use that reroll then to see if we get divine lore. Nefira is going to short rest. She got 1 success. She's going to recover half her hit points, so she's back to 8. And Rethi really needs some successes here. She got 1. She could spend her other reroll. Yeah, I could see the argument for doing it. Alright, I'll try. No, she still failed. Alright, that's what it is. Okay, so he's gonna reattempt the divine lore, which actually should have +1 on it. Okay, he got a normal success, not a great success, so that's it. His god does not answer him. Pretty demoralizing. The real problem is there was treasure in here. There was a +1 leather armor and 2,000 copper, but we're not gonna be able to see or notice that or grab it. So, my hope for extra treasure and leveling up, not to be happy we live, is all I can say. So we're going to do exactly what I said and just navigate our way out. I don't think there's any roll involved with that. It's basic logic. It's just a matter of the random encounters. So we're going to do one random roll in room number 4 and then one in 3. And we'll leave it at that. So first one, good. Second one, good. Okay. In that case, I think we make it out. I don't really see why we wouldn't. I can't come up with anything to really fuck us over. There are the water termites, but I think we sent them packing hard enough that they're not going to fuck with us again. So that's it. And we see the light, we move along the edge, and we get back out. Huh. That was interesting. If those were normal skeletons, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been nothing. It would have been nothing. That would have been just an easy piss encounter. I could have turned undead. They would have had like 4 hit points. We would have just slaughtered them. But 13 hit points, 13 AC with a paralysis attack, like, that's no joke. And I could have had them all use claws. You know, they can do claws or their weapon. Usually when I see something like that, I tend to just give them all weapons, but I felt like one of them should have claws. That was tricky. Alright. So we make it back out. We're not quite out of the woods, because we have to go back across the lake. So we're going to get back in the boat, start rowing. Dalnir still has most of his strength, so he's rowing. Oh yeah, he doesn't have a reroll. So we're gonna roll a d6, a 1 or a 2, we get another encounter. We're good. We make it back, and we return to Taggart. And we dangle the nice shiny locket in front of him. Man, are we good. Just doing everything this guy wants. Okay, so he's going to give us 3,000 gold worth of gems. So we don't have 3,000 gold. We have 3,000 worth of gems. So we have to kind of figure out how much that weighs, how many slots that takes. I assume it's not just one giant amethyst. That other RPG we looked at, Ambition and Avarice, that had weight for all your for all the precious stones and stuff, which is kind of handy in this specific situation. I assume Axe somewhere has like a general. Treasure 1 stone per 1,000 coins or gems. Per 1,000 gems? That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. I'm gonna pull up that Ambition and Avarice just because I'm really curious on what the numbers would be. Alright. Coins and gems. Amethyst. No, it doesn't have weight for them. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have weight. Okay, it just has an average value. All right, that's not as useful as I thought then. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT then. What is the weight of an average amethyst? I definitely know how to spell amethyst, and I don't have to look. An average amethyst. They don't have an average weight. Yeah. Well, this is a lot of numbers, I suppose. Okay, most published treasure assumes a 10 gold piece gem weighing a few grams at most. Well, let's just... How much would 3,000 gold pieces of amethyst weigh? So using small stones would be 2 to 4 ounces. 1 to 2, medium 50 gold piece stones would be 1 to 2 ounces. Mixed stones, about 3 to 6 ounces. So not even a fucking pound. Well, that suggests that takes up 1 slot. So I guess, fuck it, it's 1 slot. Crazy. Okay, 1 slot. It'll get thrown on the cart. All right. So yes, we are now at 1,667 XP for each of them. Pretty good haul. Technically, I do get XP for monster kills. If we're going by axe rules. So that would be, let's see, what did we actually kill here? Well, the skeletons, which are 3 hit dice, but the troll, how many hit dice was that thing? 6 or something? 6. So there's 6 hit dice, 6 plus 380. Also, it gets a bonus from ability. Yeah, so that troll was actually worth a lot. That was a remarkable kill. That thing was worth 680 XP. And then the skeletons, it has as 3 hit dice with 2 abilities. I'm not sure what exactly. The paralysis is 1. I don't know what the other one would be. Morale, maybe? Yeah, I mean, it has a 1 for them normally, so the paralysis is the extra thing. So, okay, so that would be 3, so 50 each plus 30, so 80 each. 80 times 4 is 320. So 320 plus, no, stop. 320 plus 680 is 1,000 exactly, divided by 3. Okay. Yeah, so we each get 333. We have exactly enough to level up. Jeez. Well, we also killed the water termite if the math is a little fuzzy. So, slightly extra. But yeah, we have leveled up. So now we're going to be at 2,000 out of 4,000. We'll ignore the water termite. Fine. Okay, we leveled up. Look how easy that was. Now, we couldn't go through and just sort of see XP values if I was playing Tales of Argosa normally, and I was doing my normal XP system if I was DMing normally. What did we really do? There were a couple random encounters. We passed by the wolves and the hobgoblins. I don't think I'd really award XP for avoiding those encounters. I mean, strictly by the rules, I suppose you might. No. Not really. Some games might, but no. You do get an XP according to Tales of Argosa for discovering a new ruin, dungeon, significant lair, or other major point of interest. and for exploring a new level of a ruined dungeon, dangerous city district, or other adventure site. So technically, we would have gotten 2 XP just for the whole shrine area that we explored. The troll battle would certainly be worth quite a bit of XP, probably 2, maybe 3. We'll say 2. Just because we didn't really struggle with it at all. But that's not really how it should be evaluated, but sure. We'll say 2, because we also got a big reward from it. We got 2,000 gold. So that's at least a couple XP. So that's 4 from the whole trolls situation. And then another 2 for the exploration, which was 6. And then beating the skeletons, that's at least another 2. And then the locket and getting the 3,000 from that is at least another 2. Probably I would actually have handed out a bit more XP from that, just for, like, completing the objectives and finishing the quest. I might have thrown in an extra XP here and there, so probably we'd be actually slightly ahead of where I'm at, but not by a drastic amount. So I think so far it kind of works out. But we get to level up, and that's good, because we don't really need it, I suppose, but it's nice. Where is the section on leveling up? There. So we get +1 to an attribute of our choice. We get more hit points, and whatever benefits from our class. So first, the attributes. Dalnir is going to bump up his will. That's going to be most... His next couple level ups are going to be going towards that. So that bumps him finally up to a 2 willpower mod. So he should have access to his other spell at this point. I could rule it that way, that he now gets access to the spell that he had to leave behind, which I think is Destroy Dead. Yeah, Destroy Dead. So I'm going to be generous, because I like to be generous, and we're going to give him Destroy Dead as a spell. He is, you know, he has unlocked understanding of it. Destroy Dead. So this is a range of 225 feet. I love that shit. So good. This would have been really handy in that last fight. But he didn't have any spell casts left anyways. Okay. So, range 225. Skeleton or zombie. Less than 9 hit dice. Death saving throw, or dead, or dust. There you go. So it's willpower, range is very far, duration is instant. Cool. Okay, what else does he get then as far as being a level 2? Well, he gets another spell. Yeah, he gets another spell casting. So this is now 2. And he can also turn another time per day. Which is kind of powerful. Maybe I should limit that. That means at higher levels, you're turning like 9 times per adventure. And what's the What's the OSE restriction on that? I think they can always do it, though. Yeah. He can just you can always turn undead, apparently. Shadow Dark is a spell, so you can do it per day till you fail. Axe. Rebuke undead. I think you can. Yeah, okay. You can attempt to rebuke. There's no limit to how often you can do it per day, but if you try to do it during an encounter and you completely fail, you can't do it again during that encounter. So again, it's pretty unlimited. So yeah, I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. It just gets really powerful at higher levels, and you just instantly destroy quite a bit of undead. But I suppose that's the power of a high-level cleric. I mean, that's sort of true for here as well. Once you hit, like, level 8, like, skeletons and zombies just fucking die. Just automatically destroyed. It is limited to 2d6 number of hit dice. But that's not... It is... I think 1d8 plus level maybe is a bit too high of scaling then. It should maybe be 1d4. I'm going to change it to 1d4. Fuck it. Now, granted, I'm taking this from the Tales of Argosa Cultists as a blessing they can. So I just took this directly from there. But this is part of your blessing kit. So, you know, you get one use of a blessing per level. So this is like one option you can do, but it shares, like, you know, it shares a resource with all these other blessings. Whereas I made it its own standalone ability. So I think I have to nerf it. So we're going to go 1d4, and that's the new number. Just as a slight nerf there, alright? So I'm going to change that here. Okay. So then he gets a spell. And I think we said that we were letting him pick. He gets to pick one divine spell from the big list that he can add to his repertoire. So any level, first level divine spell. Cure Light Injury is sort of a hard one to pass up, but it's not as essential in this game, like I said, because we have short rests, and he doesn't have that many casts. So we may want to grab, like... Yeah, we could grab Illumination. To, you know, and out of fear, maybe this is how his god responds, by giving him Illumination as a spell. Like, all right, well, you made it out of there without my help, so now you have this. Illumination creates a spherical region of light around the target location or object. Sheds bright light out to 15 feet, dim light to 30 feet. Can be cast on a movable object. And it lasts for an hour plus 10 minutes per level. So an hour and 20 minutes. And especially because we kind of have 3 characters that don't want to carry a torch. So fuck it, I'm going to take Illumination. And I think we'll actually end up using that quite a bit. Now, you can reverse spells in Axe. I don't know if that's based on, like, DM Fiat. Studious spellcasters must treat the normal and reversed version as separate spells, but prayerful spellcasters know both. Awful divine spellcasters prefer to cast spells in their normal form, and will use reverse forms only against chaotic opponents. So the reversed form of illumination we technically have available to us, and that's tenebrosity, creating a tenebrous area of darkness, reducing any light to pitch blackness within 15 feet of the target, dim light within 30 feet, and dim light to pitch blackness. A bright light to dim light within 30, and dim light to pitch blackness within 30. It also blocks out lightless vision. Damn! We could have made that skeleton blind too. But, you know, in that situation, you just cast illumination. I think in most cases, we'll just cast illumination, but yes, we can cast both, so I'll put both in. And yeah, I wish that it didn't do this. But it does. Okay. Okay. Good. I think that's pretty solid. Done. Well, we've got a variety of useful spells now. He also gains hit points. So for that, we get 2. I guess I could just level up. There you go. Done. And he gets Child of the Gods and a new skill. And his attack bonus went up, which is awesome. So we have class and ability. Cultist, Child of the Gods, which is going to increase his max luck by 1 point. Okay. Doesn't actually do anything, but we can fix that. There you go. Increases his max luck, not his current luck, annoyingly. And then a new skill. I don't know, actually. What would he really want? I mean, grabbing Wilderness Lore is never a bad idea if you're in a hex crawl. I guess I could grab General Lore. I don't think any of us have that. No, I'm going to grab General Lore. He's a smart guy. Okay, and then I think he is done. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what else there would be. Okay, so next on to Nefira. She's going to also gain 2 hit points, up to 15. And goes up by 2. He was at 13. He should go up to 15. She gets an attack bonus now as well, which is awesome. She gets a new skill and the Skirmisher trait, which I think allows her to avoid opportunity attacks. No, enemy suffers disadvantage on any free attacks against you. Yeah, you know, you'd rather have it than not have it. As for a skill, boy. She's got most of the things we'd want out of being a rogue. She's got detection. She does not have acrobatics. Okay. We'll give her acrobatics then. That's fine. And then she also gets a new trick and technique, and now we get to pick. So, I do think quick reflexes is probably the most likely to actually be used by her. Pretty much ensuring that we always can succeed on initiative when we want it. It's only for her, and she already has a good initiative, but she can fail, as I think we saw. Other ones that might be good. Recon Leader could be good if we want to actually stealth as a group, which sometimes you do want to do. Smoke Bomb. Yeah, it's a fucking smoke bomb. But it's sort of similar to Flash Powder in some way. Like, they both blind targets, so yeah, it's a little similar. Hidden Blade would be good if we were a primarily melee character, but we're not. Rapid Dose could be good if we were... Yeah, we could get into poisons, I suppose. She has Apothecary. You can dose up your arrows. It's specifically during combat, though, you know. Like, because dosing your arrows is like an action. Rapid Dose lets you do it just as part of your shot. So it's part of your action. So if we were setting up for an ambush, it doesn't really serve much purpose. So we'd have to carry around quite a bit of poison for it to really be worth taking. And again, we usually look at Axe for stuff like that. I have a big list here of poisons. And so usually for combat related stuff, you want this like 1 round shit, which is really expensive. Yeah, this is not cheap stuff. And again, a lot of this stuff takes a while to take effect. Like Giant Centipede is the cheapest poison available. Because it's extracted from a giant centipede. And it takes 10 minutes to kick in. At which point you have to roll your save with +2. And if you fail, you're incapacitated for 1d10 turns. It's really damn good. But it's like, am I really going to shoot someone with an arrow and then wait 10 minutes? Not really. Monster venoms can be applied to weapons. Each monster yields 1 dose of its venom. A dose is enough venom to treat 20 arrows or bolts, 5 darts, or 1 melee weapon. Yeah, so it rationalizes it that your arrows or swords are just not as effective at applying the poison compared to like a snake snake bite, you know, that actually forces the venom deep into the body, I suppose. I guess that's probably true. So that's why the onset time for a lot of these is quite a bit of time. Now that's using axe rules, which I tend to lean towards for most things. Whereas Tales of Argosa is going to simplify it a lot. And here, most poisons take effect immediately. And these are some fucking nasty poisons. So I think this, if I was using Tales of Argosa rules, yeah, rapid dose and using poison would be quite a bit better. But they're still not super cheap. You know, again, this is like 75 gold on average, but still, that's 75 fucking gold for a poison that might do an extra 3d8 damage compared to Axe, where you spend 75 gold and 10 minutes after you hit them with it, they take 1d4 damage. You know, so poisons are way nerfed here, unless you spend ungodly amounts of money. And I feel like most of these are going to be applied like surreptitiously or something. It doesn't seem like Axe makes a differentiation between a poison and a venom. You know, and it's like the plant toxins, some of them differ between injury and ingestion on the onset time, but they still do the same effect. Poisons, it's all the same, and I assume that it's all, I don't know, really. Well, no, I think it's all injury based. I don't think you can actually, I don't think any venoms don't do anything if you ingest them. That's the whole point. You can drink snake venom. So yeah, there is no ingestion here for these venoms, which is good. I mean, it's logical. But like I said, it means that a lot of these are pretty tricky unless you can get like a little needle or something and you just kind of poke someone and maybe they don't really realize it, or you know, some special circumstances. Or, you know, like if you're fighting a group or you're fighting like, you know, the group of bandits or something, and you manage to slap some of these venoms onto them, and then like an hour later half of them just drop dead, theoretically, because like it said, one of these venom thing, that's enough for 20 arrows. So yeah, like sea snake venom, if you could buy it, 200 gold. But you get 20 arrows coated with that, and after 1d10 turns, they take 4d4 damage. That's quite a lot. And especially because you already have shot them, that's going to drop practically anybody. You know, as far as like a humanoid target, you're likely to fight a human or something like that. Like, they're probably just fucking dead. So, yeah, I guess theoretically, there are plenty of scenarios where you might want to have these venoms. But then, yeah, the plant toxins allow for the possibility of ingestion, which opens up things quite a lot. And like Hemlock, 2d4 turns later, so like 50 minutes, 60 minutes later, they take 2d12 damage. That averages out to 13. That's enough to kill like any normal human that you come across. Most people you find are going to have like 4 or 5 hit points. So, yeah, I mean, slipping hemlock into somebody's drink or something like that, or food, they're dead. Okay. Either way, I don't think we're gonna go with rapid dose. I think we've talked our way out of that one. Glue pot could be good. I can't rule that out. Blind sense. Yeah, we wouldn't have been blind in the dark. We would have been near blind. And near blind would have been a 33% miss chance. So it's something, and we could have maybe helped navigate our way out of a trickier scenario. But we have illumination, so I don't think we need 2 characters to take vision-based stuff. Choking Dust renders targets mute, which is really only useful against spellcasters. And then Cat's Grace, you can turn a failed check against climbing, acrobatics, or falling into a success. Yeah, I mean, we don't do much of that, and I feel like she tends to succeed anyways. Especially because we took acrobatics now. So I think we're leaning towards quick reflexes. Quick reflexes. Good. Okay, I believe that's everything for her. Yeah, there's not much to it. Oh no, her attribute. She gets +1 to an attribute. So we can't go over 16. So probably... charisma is... It's a lost cause. No one's ever going to like Nefira. So probably con. Or we could grab strength for her to be a little bit more viable in melee. Alright, I'm willing to do that. Well, yeah. Still not there yet. She needs a 13 to get a +1. But we'll get there. Okay, and then Rethi, who gets another 3 hit points because she's a badass fighter. She gets another attack bonus up to +2, so that's awesome. She gets an attribute, which is definitely going to be strength. So now she's at +2, so that's +4 on her attack rolls. And she adds 2 damage. Very good. She gets another skill, which is going to be... I guess I'm fairly flexible. Honestly, I might take... I'm gonna take... Persuasion. I know we don't do a lot of that, but sometimes it might come up. And she gets the supply ability, which means that anytime we're between towns, until we return to a town, I can pull something out of my bag. At any time during an adventure, you may automatically add 1d4 mundane items to your equipment list. They must have a common theme. You might gain additional coils of rope, grappling hook, and climbing boots, cache of fire pots, and so on. A cache of fire pots is insane. Because 1d4 fire pots, those are each worth like 75 gold. So that is by far the most valuable thing I think you can pull out of your bag. And it's explicitly allowed by the rules. And it's a rare item. I don't know how you can really call it mundane, but I guess it is. Which means I guess you could also pull out poison. But in our case, in that situation, we could have pulled out 1d4 torches, and it would have been fine. And this is automatically resupplied whenever you go back to a village, town, or city, unless the GM has some other limit. It's a really nice ability to have, because it allows us to just keep adding items for free. For free. I mean, there's no cost here. Just automatically add 1d4 items to your equipment list. So, that's great. And then we also get a new adaptable, a new style. So I think we're going to go with probably Protector. This will have our shields give an extra AC and gives us a good reason to actually use a sword and shield and swap off of two-hander. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. We want someone to have pretty good AC in the front. All right, so she's got... Oh yeah, I guess she picked up her sword and hand axe before we left. We rummaged around and found it. Hold on a second. All right. So yeah, this is a 1d6. That's correct. And we're gonna equip the shield again, and this is now going to count as 2 AC, which means she's got a 16 AC total, which is not insane or anything, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, without bumping up her dex quite a bit, our only option is like another +2 AC from plate armor or +3 AC from masterwork plate armor. So we're probably topping out at 19 without magic items. And we probably could afford masterwork plate armor, but we'd have to leave this whole adventure, so I don't think that's within the scope of this little mini campaign. So hopefully we find something in a dungeon. We did miss out on that +1 leather armor, but hopefully, I guess we could go back in there. I think we're done leveling up, though. Yes. So, we could now... Taggart might be nice enough to us. We could spend a week resting here. There is no impetus to this whole thing. Like, there's no, like, time limit or anything. We can do whatever the fuck we want. So if Taggart agrees, I'm gonna do a persuasion roll with advantage. We rolled a 1. Yeah, Taggart really likes us. Like, we are pals in his fucking eyes. So he says, you know, we can stay as long as we want in his in the ranch hand's lodging area. You know, he's gonna start trying to get people to come back now that the troll's dead, but that obviously takes a while to communicate. And he's even willing to feed us while we're here, because he's such a nice guy, because I rolled a fucking 1. So we don't have to consume rations or anything, and he might even send us off with some rations, some beef or some dried beef jerky. But sure, we're gonna take a long rest here. So long rest is 7 days in a safe location. We get all hit points back, all expended class abilities recovered, rerolls recovered, and we get 1 point of luck back. So we're gonna do long rest. Boom. Yep, that's correct. That's correct. Long rest. Boom. Long rest. Boom. He only spent 1 luck, right? He should be at 13. No. No, he shouldn't. He was at 12, he spent 1 for the major exploit, and then his max luck increased by 1. So yes, he's at 12. But otherwise, we're all good. Nice. So now, I mean, you could say that was the end of an adventure. You have full luck. And he could be at 13. I could see making that argument, I guess. We wanted to break this up into numerous little adventures, but I think that's a little outside the scope of what you're meant to do. So I'm fine with that. And I think we're going to... Where do we want to go back in that place? It is a dungeon. There is going to be more treasure in there. We know it. We feel it in our bones. So, yeah, I'm kind of tempted to go back in. So I guess we'll ask if we can use his boat again. And I suppose he says sort of the same thing. I mean, he likes us, but hey, it's an expensive boat. He's going to give us some extra rations. Well, we haven't departed yet, so we'll save that for when we... Because we'll load that up on the cart. Torches is the only thing, although we don't strictly need it with the illumination, but it would be nice to still carry some torches. So he's probably got some spare firewood that we can spend some time during the week turning into torches. So I'm going to add 6 torches. 5 torches, that's fine. Alright, so we're going to get back on the boat. We're going to sail back across the river. On a 1 or a 2, we get an encounter. Alright, we have an encounter. And it's 3. It's against the giant fish. They're not going to attack, so we just see some fish. If we wanted to kill them, there's a couple giant bass. We could actually go in and look at Axe to figure out how much meat we might actually get out of them if we wanted to turn them into rations. So like the giant catfish, for example. Although that's too big. No, we don't have stats for something that size. Because they're 2 hit dice. And OSE obviously doesn't go into nearly enough stats. They do have the giant catfish, which is 8 hit dice. Giant piranha is 3, and it's 5 foot long, so probably we could base it somewhat around that if we wanted to be close, maybe a little smaller. So this giant piranha is 75 fucking stone. So if we want to assume the giant bass is like 60 stone, that's 4 men. It's the size of 4 men. That's 750 pounds, essentially. It is very big. So then, if you wanted to go into it... there should be somewhere... I don't know if it's in appendices or not. Maybe it's not in the judge's book. Is it in the regular rulebook? I could have sworn it was in the judge's book. Oh, it might be in the monster book. Monster part mundane. Blah, blah, blah. Pelts and meat. There you go. Butchering. So the time it takes is the monster weight in pounds divided by 5. So it would take to just butcher one of these giant bass. No, 600. We were saying 600. Divided by 5. Take 120 turns. So that's if you have one person doing it, which is a lot. It's 1,200 minutes. About 20 hours to butcher one fish. That seems excessive, I gotta say. And that's if you have, that's if you have one of the proficiencies of animal husbandry, butchery, farming, or trapping. If you don't, then that's doubled. But here it's, the example, 600-pound direwolf. It'll take her 600 divided by 10, 60 turns to skin the animal, or about 10 hours. That's to skin it, not to butcher it. The direwolf's pelt will weigh 1.59 stone and be worth 1.59 gold pieces. That's like nothing. Jesus. She can then butcher the direwolf's carcass, which will take her 120 turns. There you go. About 20 hours. So this is not... I didn't fuck that up. That's the numbers. Butchering the direwolf yields 15.9 stone of wolf meat, worth 4.8 gold pieces. Her total profit on 30 hours of labor is 6.39 gold. Yeah, adventurers don't really want to do their own skinning and butchering. You want to hire laborers to do that shit for you. Sorcha is tediously determined. She is indeed earning 0.1 gold piece per pound of monster. Yeah, it's obviously it's not really a profitable thing to do of butchering and selling like dragon meat or something. Usually you're more interested in like the magical components or something. The only reason you really get into this generally is to like feed people, like feed yourselves, or maybe feed your whole retinue, or feed your army or something like that. Then maybe there's a discussion, because 15.9 stone of wolf meat, I mean, we're gonna get the same number out of one of these fish. So let's say we kill both of these giant bass and we take all the time needed to butcher, and let's just say we get 32 stone of fish meat, which is 320 pounds of fish meat. If we go back to the food, not the food stuff, but the ration. So 1 week of ration is 1 stone. So 1 week of food for one person is 1 stone. We would get 32. So we'd get 32 weeks of rations. That's a lot of food. I'm picturing, like, you know, Dragon Ball or something when Goku kills one of those like insanely massive fish, and then he just like eats it in one day. But yeah, so I mean that's why you would do that, because that's a lot of food. If you were to just buy, you know, standard rations, it's not that much. I mean, standard rations, 35 copper to 3 gold. So if you say it's 1 gold or 1.5, I mean, you're talking about 32 gold or 40 gold or something like that. It's not really that much. So it's up to you. But if you're going to kill something like that and you have the time, yeah, I mean, you could just butcher it. Or, again, if you have a retinue and you have laborers with you, butchers with you that are just there to do that, you know, that... Yeah, I mean, but that's what I love about Axe. It doesn't make any assumptions about what you are going to do. It just gives you the options, and it gives you all the numbers and the math, and just says, hey, you want to butcher those giant bass? How much meat are you going to get out of it? How long does it take? Here you go. These are all the numbers. And I have used those butchering numbers, you know, for when I was DMing for my family. They killed a bunch of deer or something like that. Or no, they killed crocodiles, I think it was. Yeah, they killed crocodiles, and they wanted to know... They wanted to get rations out of it, because they were out in the wilderness and they were trying to survive. They needed rations, so yeah, we did all the math for that. And these crocodiles are each 50 stone, so I think they only butchered 1 in the end. Yeah, I think they only butchered 1. Because that still took quite a while of time. But they got a good amount of rations, and they were happy. So, yeah, I mean, it's already, even for my casual group, it came in handy. But anyways, yeah, we see the giant bass. And unless I roll like a 2 on the... Okay, I rolled a 3, so... I still don't know exactly what that would mean for giant fish, but they're not going to attack the boat. OSE specifically says that they're shy. And I don't think their visual acuity is so good that they're going to recognize that there's a halfling in the boat and jump out of the water to attack. So I think that roll is really only if you're swimming in the water or something. But all right. So we make it across. We get back to the lake. Fun times. A week has passed. We're going to go back in. Dalnir is now going to use his illumination spell. So we're going to use divine spellcasting and cast illumination. Got a great success. So we can multiply one of these things by 50%. One of these numbers. Probably it's going to be how long it lasts. I could multiply how bright it is. Well, I could multiply the bright light radius or the dim light radius. So we could shed light out to a 45-foot radius of dim light, which is not a bad idea either for better sight. But I think you have to be a bit more anal. You have to have a bit more anal of a DM for that to like actually matter much compared to the much more easily trackable length. So that's 9 turns plus his level, which is 11 turns total. Well, that is a long time. And he's going to cast it on... he's going to cast it on Rethi's shield. I usually like to put light on shield. And we're going to head in. Alright, so we're going to wander across the same thing we've done before. We're not going to have the water termites involved, but I am going to roll to see if we get wandering monsters. So it's 1 in 6. Nope, we're good. We make it back to this area. Technically 10 minutes have gone by then. Each new area is generally another roll. But it's also a little potentially much. So we'll go down to 4 and then we'll roll. Okay, we're still good. We're going to go back to where we came from. We're going to go back into this room where we almost died. And we're going to gaze upon the broken bones on the ground. And now we see some actual treasure sort of nestled in the corner. We see a set of leather armor and 2,000 copper pieces, which is pretty annoying because that's really only 20 gold. And it takes up multiple slots. Remember, I said 400 coins is 1 slot. So that's 5 slots worth of coins for 20 gold of value. So that's not good. You know, if you were playing Skyrim and you were looking at the value by weight or something, you'd piss all over this. The leather armor +1 is pretty good, though, and we are going to take that. And that's going to go straight on Nefira. So that is a 3 bonus. So now she's at 16 AC as well. Nice and survivable. We do not get XP for that. And all the old school rules are pretty clear on that. If we were to not use it and then sell it, according to Axe, we would get XP. Oh no, Axe is the outlier. Axe does give you XP equal to the apparent value of the item, i.e. what it would be worth if it were non-magical. Oh, okay, right. So we'd get XP based on it being leather armor. But equal to the apparent value of the item, what it would be worth if it were non-magical. The judge's journal lists the apparent value of most magic items, which is typically about the same value as a non-magical masterwork. Really? Does it list this information somewhere? Buying and selling? I'm not really sure exactly. I'm not really sure what that means. If it's the same value as a non-magical masterwork, then... Well, then it's worth quite a bit, isn't it? Then it's worth like 650 gold or something. But if you identify a magic item and then sell it without using it, you get an additional 1 XP per 1 gold piece earned in the sale. If you use the items, you don't get any additional XP, even if later sold. So by putting it on her, she's using it and will never get that bonus. So it's really just this somewhat nebulous thing. I didn't think traditionally you get any XP for any... Yeah, magical treasures do not grant XP. That's the traditional thing, and so that's where Axe differs a little bit, in that you can get XP if you don't use it, and you get XP based on the apparent value of the item. I don't know. Oh, it does list apparent values all up in here. Okay. Yeah, and it's got plenty. Jeez. All sorts of magic items. Oh my god. Fucking Axe, man. Just goes into so much detail. It's crazy. Doesn't mention that many armors, but it says the apparent value of any magic armor or shield is 650 gold plus the base cost of the armor unless detailed otherwise. So, I guess without knowing that this is magical then, we just see it like a very nice sort of suit of leather armor. Like, it looks exceptionally well made and everything. And so we sort of interpret it. It looks to be like a masterwork of leather armor. And so then it's 650 plus 20, so it's 670 gold value. We get that XP according to Axe if we take it out of there. It's a differing of thought. The original, like the OSC thought, the BXD&D thought is that magic treasure is its own reward. Like, it doesn't need to reward any XP because you got a fucking magic item. But there's a lot of magic items, I think, that you just don't really use or have any use for, and you might just want to sell it or something like that. Or, you know, it just isn't really valuable to you in any way, and then it's just kind of a bummer. So Axe remedies that by giving you some XP just for finding it, which is nice. Which is also what, like, Shadow Dark does and Tales of Argosa does as well. You know, you get XP for finding magic items. And then also, if you don't use it at all, you have no use for it, you can sell it for a lot of XP. Theoretically, if you can actually sell it, which is its own challenge, and sort of up to the DM on it, even if you could find a buyer for a magic item. So in our case, we're going to get XP, like 600... What did I say? 670? Yeah. So a couple hundred XP amongst the party, which is not bad. The only question I have for this XP system is... am I supposed to go back to 0? Was I supposed to be at 0 out of 4,000? I have no idea, and I feel like that probably should be answered at somewhere. That's almost certainly answered somewhere. When you've accumulated enough XP to go up in level, you note down the character's new level and title and the number of XP needed to advance to the next level. Doesn't say anything about going back to 0. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's funny that I'm not sure. That's funny that I'm not sure. OS reset XP. It's cumulative. Yeah, okay, so it's 2,000 XP to get to level 2 and 2,000 XP to get to level 3. Yeah, okay, no, that is how it works. Alright, so yeah, I did it right. Alright, anyways. We are good in this room. So I suppose while she's, while we were searching and we found that and she put it on and everything, we tick down the light again, we roll another encounter, we're all good. So we're going to continue on down this way, and we're going to listen at this door. I haven't read it yet. She failed. So, we hear nothing. Either way, we're going to go in. Dalnir pokes his head in. The room is completely empty. Most players will say they're going to search the whole room, though, which is going to take 10 minutes, and I am also going to do, even though there's nothing in here. So we'll roll a random encounter, and we got it. Perfect. D4. 3. That is going to be 1d4 crab spiders coming in to the dungeon, and we're trapped in here while we're searching. What the fuck is a crab spider? Let's find out. It's not a giant crab, it's a spider. Giant crab spider, there it is. Horrific. Did I roll how many there were? 3. No, I didn't. No, that was the right. There's 1d4. 2. Okay. Okay. So they're gonna sneak into the doorway while we're kind of rummaging around. So this is gonna be a group perception check. And technically, I guess it wouldn't have to be a group check. It could be everyone rolls perception, and if anyone succeeds, then they see the spiders coming in. But it's probably opposed by their stealth. Yeah, all right. We'll do individual perception checks, but it is opposed by their stealth check. They are naturally stealthy. So based on normal surprise, well, no, based on axe rules, they get a anyone. They're naturally stealthy. It's up to me how I determine that. I'm gonna give them a +4 on their roll, and I think they probably are gonna have decently high dexterity. Giant spider has a 16 dexterity. Yeah, So they're rolling against 20 on this. They are very stealthy, and we are preoccupied. So their roll is going to be a margin of 16. That means Nefira has to roll like a 1. Well, she has detection, so a 2, I suppose. Okay, she did not. The others basically would have to roll a 1 for a crit. No. He rolled a 2. It's pretty damn good, but not enough. So the spiders are going to get the jump on us, which is obviously not good. Because they also carry a dangerous venom. Death saving throw with a +2 bonus. Otherwise, you will die after 1d4 turns have elapsed. They mean fucking business, man. So this is not a good thing to get ambushed by. We really fucked up. I can't believe they rolled a... Yeah. 4. 16 margin. So they have a +2 to their attack rolls. They are going to have advantage. One of them is going to target Nefira because she's the smallest, juiciest target. And the other one is going to target Rethi. So +2 with advantage, and we theoretically could just fucking die here. First one. Got a 16. That is a hit on Nefira. Great. So it's 1d8 damage. 5. Ow! Sink teeth deep in. And then it's the venom, so it's a death saving throw, which is con. I think we've already discussed this. No, I have death as will. Yeah, it wasn't a perfect conversion. Because I think in this case it should be con. So I don't think this always lines up. It should 100% be con, and I'm going to make it con. So it doesn't always line up. I wanted like a blanket system that covered all the spells and any effects, but it's different things. A death effect is not necessarily will, and it's not necessarily con. And, you know, it's a death thing. It's a different metric of analyzing these different saving throws, so it doesn't really line up that way. So sometimes I have to fudge it. In this case, it's con. Right, so she's rolling luck con. She does get a +2 bonus. Yeah, so she does get a +2 bonus, and it's an oracle roll. She got a great success, so she does not die. Rethi. So this is, again, +2 with advantage. It misses. She hears Nefira cry out, and she quickly spins around and manages to deflect the bite with her shield. And now we are in combat with 2 giant spiders. 5-foot long spiders, 125 pounds. Nasty. So she's going to roll initiative. She got a great success. Good. Let's get to smashing. Dalnir is not having it with these spiders. And he's going to swing his scimitar. He fumbled. Great. The spider gets to make a free counterattack against him. Misses. Okay. Not much I can do about that. Rethi is going to swing her bastard sword one-handed against the spider that tried to bite her. Crit. 9 damage. And 1d10 +2 on the blade trauma table. 4. Is it dead? Yeah, it's dead. It has 9 hit points. I tend to go by averages. Unless the module actually specifies hit point totals for specific things. Like sometimes it'll say 16 or, you know, sometimes like Caverns of Thracia listed out every monster's hit points individually. So I'll go by that. But otherwise, if I just have to do it myself, it's always the average. I can appreciate a DM or something that keeps track of all in monsters having individual health points. Some have higher totals, some have lower totals. I get it. I like it. It's fine. But I'm too lazy, so it's always the average. So they have 9, and she fucking one-shots it, and it's dead. Splits its head in two, and ichor sprays all over the place. Nefira. Yeah, again, it's this shitty thing. If she keeps... If I could... Yeah. I kind of wish I had the Pathfinder feat. Precise shot, so I could ignore the penalty of shooting into melee. I could take that as a unique feature, though. If I wanted to use more bows in combat. Because that would allow her to really benefit from having the higher perception. But I guess she's just going to go in with her sword and try to stab this thing. She does hit for 4, so it's down to 5 hit points. That's good. But now it's going to go, and it's definitely going to roll a morale check. It did not expect this to be so tricky. So its will is going to be, God, probably 10, yeah. Okay, it succeeded, which means that, honestly, it should probably roll twice, right? It's a pretty shitty situation for it. Like, its buddy died instantly, and it's now been injured to half health. So, I don't want it to retreat, necessarily. Like, I don't really, I guess, care one way or the other. But it seems really suicidal for it to stick around, so I'm going to have it roll twice. Okay, so it did fail the second one. So it's going to scurry out of there, but we do get opportunity attacks for Dalnir and Nefira. He's going to swing this scimitar. AC on this is 12. That is a hit for 13 damage. Good God, he cleaves it in half. To shreds. That's it. It's dead. We do get a little bit of XP for that. I guess I could keep track of that, but we might tally that at the end. That is definitely worth a short rest. The only one that really needs it, I think, is Nefira. Oh no, he could get his spell back. Yeah, fuck it. Hell yeah. Get his divine spell casting back. I don't think he can get anything else back. Can't get luck back, because he's not below 10. So that's good. She can get some health back. Alright, a little bit. We're good. So we could... Well, we could butcher these giant crabs in order to get insect spider meat out of them. Yum. Or we could try to harvest some of their components. We can get their mandibles, we can get their leg tarsus, their palps. We could also try and extract the venom. Onset time of 1d8 turns, +4 saving throw mod, 2d6 poisonous damage on failed death saving throw. So it's not as good as if it was coming from them. But yeah, we could try for their venom. And that's worth list that right here, 100 gold. Okay, so interesting. Now I don't know where the poison section here was that listed this fun information. Damn it. Damn it. Survivability of cockroaches. Now, what the fuck, man? I just want to see how many doses it's worth. I remember the 20 arrow things, but I don't remember the rest of the information. 93. 20 arrows, 5 darts, or 1 melee weapon. Okay. Extracting venom requires 1 hour of ancillary activity. Yeah, it's not quick. And if you're all 1, you get poison, and we might die. So yeah, it's not really viable here in the dungeon. We'd have to drag these things out into the light, and I'm not really gonna bother with that. It would be nice, but yeah, it just takes too long in a dungeon. And most of the time, I guess you're not gonna do this in a dungeon. The rest of the stuff also will take a long time, if I recall. It's not a quick process. So it's 1 turn per 100 gold piece value, minimum 1 turn. So it's certainly faster, I guess. I don't know why it takes so damn long to extract venom, but I guess you're being a lot more cautious to not try and, kill yourself. And it's more involved than just like ripping things out. So we could spend 10 minutes, I guess, but I think you'd pick one part that you're going for, and it's not really that valuable. Like I said when we talked about the magic research and axe and the amount of money involved, like to do a level 1 effect, like a level 1 to make a scroll, and that's poison. I don't even know if that is a level 1 spell. Probably isn't. What is poison under? Is that even the name of a spell? Neutralize poison is the name of a spell. I guess it's anything to do with poison then. Cloud of poison, delay poison, discern poison, neutralize poison. Yeah, okay, any of those, I would suppose. So say you want to discern poison as a level 1 scroll. You have to have 500 gold pieces worth of components. That means that you'd have to kill 50 giant crab spiders in order to have enough for 1 scroll. It's really tricky. Now, you don't technically have to have like 500 gold of that specific component. You can fill in with like filler material of other magical components or whatever. But I think you get like a scaling penalty based on the percentage of stuff that's filler. Spider climb. That's another one that's like, that's probably pretty good. Yeah, spider climb's a 1st level spell. So you could, let's say you want to make boots of spider climbing. Let's say an activated effect once per day you can cast spider climbing, okay? That's 500 gold times the spell level times 10. 5,000 gold, okay? And that's 5,000 gold of component costs, 5,000 gold of material costs, 5,000 gold of research costs. So, assuming, you're like a level 9 mage, your research rate is 600 gold per day. So you're still looking at like 8 or so days of just working on these boots, which isn't insanely bad or anything. But yeah, 5,000 gold of components. So in this case, you'd have to kill 500 of giant crab spiders. You'd have to commit genocide on a giant crab population. Considering that, like, they only appear in, like, groups of 1d4. But there are other creatures, of course, that give components that contribute to spider climb. So if you giant tarantulas, those are worth 40 gold towards spider climb. So that's a lot different. The giant gecko, or the giant black widow, that's also 25 gold. Here, the necropede, if you come across any of those. Horrific. Those, their lower arms, 290 gold towards spider climb. That puts you a lot closer there. Here, even more, is the Nathagol, or the Glinter Snatch. 10 hit dice enemies. Definitely not for the faint of heart. But their feet contribute 600 gold each. And they appear often in groups of 1d4. I don't envy that fight or anything, but yeah, that would do it. Giant gecko lizards, 3 hit dice, 65 gold towards spider climb. You know, and these appear in much bigger groups, 1d6 or 1d10. So say you kill 10 giant geckos, you know, that's 650 gold worth of components. Still a long ways off from 5,000. So say you only get like 2,000 components of what you need specifically. I do believe there mentions the... Yeah, here you go. So you can instead pay part or all the component cost with arcane power or divine power. The component cost of an identified magic item for which the caster has the formula. Miscellaneous components purchased on the market, or special components from an inappropriate monster. So that's anything else. You suffer -1 penalty on your throw per level of the spell or effect when using inappropriate or miscellaneous special components. If you use a blend of required components and inappropriate or miscellaneous components, the penalty is reduced. Multiply the penalty by the percentage of inappropriate or miscellaneous components. Round the penalty up with a minimum -1 penalty. Okay, so technically for a level 1 spell effect, you could use entirely just a random jumble of components that have nothing to do with what you're trying to do, and it would just be a -1 penalty to roll at the end. So I suppose that's not bad. Granted, it's a lot of effort and time and resources and stuff for that final fucking dice throw. That you know, that matters quite a bit. So that's all, you know, it's axe rules. Yeah. So for a level 9 mage making a level 1 item, the throw is 8+. So if you're making a level 1 thing with a random jumble, it's a 9 or higher. Yeah, you know. And as you can see, like, based on some of these higher end monsters, like, some of these components are worth quite a lot. Like here, animated Chryselephantine thing, if you kill that and take its wooden frame, it's worth 1,100 gold pieces. So, you know, there's stuff. Here, Iron Golem. The head is 7,200 gold pieces. You can make all sorts of shit with that. Granted, it's a 16 hit dice monster that has, like, numerous special traits. And immune to cold, electrical, fire, necrotic, poisonous, and all mundane damage. But if you're fighting this thing, I mean, you don't have mundane damage. Come on. Alright, anyways. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So we're not going to harvest anything, but yeah, I just wanted to discuss the possibilities. Right. We are going to continue on. there's obviously nothing in this room. So we go up the staircase and we're going to listen at this door. We succeed. There is nothing in here. Okay. Then we will move in. And we can see immediately that there is an archway leading south, or there's an open archway. So we are going to we're going to have Nefiro sort of sneak up there. Peek her head around to see what's in there. Great success. The problem is it's dark in there and we have the light. So this thing sees our light coming around the corner. So I think it's already sort of waddling towards us. It's just that we know it's coming, so we can maybe prepare for it coming around the corner or something. So I think we're going to have Dalnir step up to the edge, and he's going to prepare an attack on this gecko. I don't even know if the gecko is really hostile or anything, but it's a solitary gecko living in this ruin, and that's really weird to me. So, yeah, we're going to chop its fucking head off. Because it's, yeah, you know, it's not super easy. It has 14 hit points and can bite for 1d8 damage with +3 to attack. So, yeah. All right, but we're going to prepare an attack. Do we get advantage on this? I would argue yes. I don't think the gecko is cognizantly aware that light means that there's people. I think he just sees light and is like, what's over here? You could say that he wouldn't actually go over there or something, but I think that's how I would rule it if I was DMing, is what I would say. Is that he's just kind of curious about the light and is moving over there. So I'm going to give Dalnir advantage on this surprise attack. As soon as this thing turns its head around the corner, he's going to swing down the scimitar. All right, he does 11 damage. Nearly decapitating it. He has 3 hit points left. And that was pretty big. So now we're going to roll initiative. Success. He's going to finish the job. Dead. He rolled a natural 19 too. So he lifted the scimitar back up and brought it back down and cut off its head. Done. Now the thing is, right, the important thing is in games like this, you don't really get almost anything for that. Like, I don't get a short rest per Tales of Argosa rules. If I was using Tales of Argosa XP, I wouldn't give XP for that. We do get technically XP from following Axe. I think he's just a 3 + 1, so we get 100 XP. So we'd each get 33 XP. That is really negligible. So, yeah. I mean, we're rewarded essentially by not being damaged by this thing. That's our big reward for doing it that way. And that's always the thing with OSR, is you want to cheese every fight. Every fight. If you can cheese it, do it. A fair fight is a fight you've already lost. So you always want to be cautious, you always want to be observant, and you always want to be cheesy. So fuck it, that gecko's dead. Alright, this room once served as preparation room for priests before ceremonies. There are stone working surfaces that line the walls. Alright, we're going to take the time, I guess, to search this room. So torch goes down, random encounter check, we're fine. And that means that we could roll to see if we find the secret door, but that's lame, and people that do that are lame. So we find this secret door. We also find some treasure in this room, nestled in the gecko nest, I guess. 200 silver, 30 gold, and a couple spell scrolls. And these are divine spell scrolls. Cure Light Wounds and Shield. Well, actually, I don't know if Shield is one. That's a mage one. Right, so Cure Light Wounds corresponds pretty obviously to Cure Light Injury. Shield is Arcane Armor? Yeah, we'll say Arcane Armor. Now we can't use that. We'd have to find a buyer that wants to buy that. But we are going to take the money. Well, we're going to take it all, but where was I? 200 silver, 30 gold. Okay. And we're going to give Dalnir Scroll of Cure Light Injury. Heals 1d6 plus 1. Okay, and we'll grab this Scroll of Arcane Armor. And just for my own knowledge of what this does, because I might possibly, for a unique feature, give one of them the ability to cast mage spells. Creates a weightless and invisible suit of armor that protects the caster, negates mage missile attacks, guarantees the caster AC 7 against missile attacks and AC 5 against melee attacks. Stacks with modifiers to AC from Dex, but not from anything else. Okay. And this lasts for 3 turns. Done. The thing about Mage Missile, I know that's a classic thing, but it's very rarely comes into play in my experience. How many times do you fight a mage and he has Mage Missile and he's going to use it? I don't know. Alright, now, if we were playing with Tales of Argosa XP, that would have been worth at least 2 XP. Because spell scrolls are magic items. But I don't think we get any XP. Until maybe well, do scrolls have an apparent value? Yes, they do. 150 gold each. Huh. I don't see a rule for identifying scrolls. Anyways. Well, fine. We'll count it as 150 gold each for the purposes of XP, which is pretty good. And we don't get that XP, remember, until we get to a safe location. A community of some kind. I count Taggart as a safe location. Right. So that's all good. I feel like another torch should have ticked down at some point, and I don't know if I rolled a random encounter. Oh, I did. For the search. Yeah, okay. All right, good. Then we're going to go through the secret passage now, and that goes down this hallway to another secret door, and we're going to listen at that door. Fail. We hear nothing in there. Oh, nice and quiet again. I don't really believe that, but yeah, Nafira reports there's nothing on the other side. Okay, so we open it up. and we see this room with 2 long pools flanking a stone hallway. So that's over here. In front of us, though, is a large statue of a humanoid figure with 3 eyes sitting on its knees, hands outstretched, and an odd-looking helm upon its head. A large stone offering basin sits before it. Okay, so in the basin is 1,200 silver. On it, the head is the Helm of Telepathy. Now, I feel pretty wary about taking that silver. I can obviously see as the DM that there's nothing to it. But I would see a lot of players not touching that silver, because there's often very bad things when you take money out of a basin in front of a big statue. The helm is trickier, though, because that's not immediately obvious that it would be bad or anything, but more importantly, it's far more tempting. It's a helmet. It could easily be a magic item. I wish we had a 10-foot pole. I guess I could use supplies to pull one out. But that's how I'd like to grab that helmet, is just sort of lift it off with a pole. I guess the next best thing is Rethi using her sword, which is decently long. It's a few feet long, right? So she'll use that to try to lift it off. And so she sort of hooks it onto the tip of her sword and lifts it off the statue. And nothing happens. Now, I could have done an oracle roll to see if my characters would do that, but yeah, it's hard to say. The thing is, this is always the thing, though. If I had known that it was trapped, or it was going to, like, zap me or something, would I have done the same thing, or would I have rolled? That's where it gets fuzzier. It's easy to just say, like, oh, well, the characters, they would just do this. Yeah, that's a good, smart thing to do. And then it's like, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't be that stupid. It's hard to say, man. It's the tricky part of playing solo. But I'm not going to touch that silver. Characters wouldn't do that. I'm not rolling. They wouldn't do it. So, all right, we grab the Helm of Telepathy. Is that listed as a special thing, or is it just... No, it's like a known thing? Just... people know about the Helm of Telepathy, and this is it? Well, we'll go back to the OSC site. That's what we're running off of. Whoops. Miscellaneous items. Helm of Telepathy. There it is. Grants the magical ability of telepathy, reading and sending thoughts. Range of 90 feet. You can concentrate to read a creature's thoughts. Thoughts are made comprehensible to the wearer of the helm. And you may initiate bi-directional telepathic communication through the creature. Okay. Well, Rethi grabbed it, so she earned it. She's going to put it on. This doesn't take up slots. I don't like to have... I don't really like to have helmets take up slots, although my normal rule for helmets is that you can have it be destroyed. If you're a crit, you can have it be destroyed to negate the crit. But the thing is, if you don't have it take a slot, then there's no reason ever to not have a helmet. So I suppose I do count helmets as taking up slots normally, because I think I already had this discussion. So I guess it is going to take up a slot. Okay. It's going to be equipped. Yeah. All right. So she hears Nefira's thoughts as Nefira is thinking about taking that silver, but she talks her out of it. Do we have an apparent value for a Helm of Telepathy? I would not be shocked at all. Helm of Telepathy, there it is. Apparent value, 2,500 gold pieces! That's big. That's a big win here, man. That's great. Now in OSC, you wouldn't get any XP for that. So that is a big difference. But this is the big treasure of this shrine, so yeah, we'll take it. Alright, so then, yeah, so there's that walkway, there's the pools of water. There's a 4 in 6 chance that a false floor trap in the middle of the walkway activates. And there's also 2 giant piranhas inhabiting either of the pool. The false floor trap will dump a player into one of the pools. So it just like springs up and rockets you into one of the pools where you have to deal with the giant piranha. Ominous. I think it's unlikely my players would... This is the thing, though, right? I'm giving it a roll now. I think it's unlikely they would go down that way, though. We just got the big treasure. Although I don't know if we know that it's magical treasure, which brings us to the whole thing of identifying magical items. The old school way is this system here. Like, you can sip a potion to maybe, you know, experience its effect, but if it's poison, it will take effect, so you don't really want to sip any potion ever. If it's a weapon or armor, you can identify the magical bonus by using it in combat for 1 round or spending a training with it, but you can't identify other properties. You can spend 10 minutes if you have alchemy to identify a potion and make a throw. You know, all sorts of stuff like that. In our case specifically, she put out the helmet on and then she could, I guess... Well, no, I guess she has to concentrate on somebody's thoughts, so she wouldn't maybe necessarily understand it. Hard to say. That's the traditional way of doing it. I don't usually abide by that stuff. I typically... I actually don't know if Tales of Argosa has rules for this. Usually I just go by arcane lore when I'm playing Tales of Argosa. It might even mention that. No, it actually doesn't. It says sensing magic, though. Which is an interesting thing, considering that's specifically a magic user skill of sense magic. But I guess you might be able to recognize... Like, a player would say, I want to use arcane lore to see if this helmet is magical. You might be able to say, okay, you can sense some faint energy off of it. But that still seems sort of stepping on the toes of sense magic. But sense magic is more about, like, an area. Or, like, it checks anything within line of sight up to 30 feet out, if there's any magic. So, yeah, that is much more, like, general and broad compared to using arcane lore specifically on one item you're holding and looking at and examining. So that's usually how I do it. Now, yeah, it's going to be Dalnir, I guess. He's going to roll arcane lore. He failed. So he either can't determine it or he would say that there isn't any magic on it. One of the two. Yeah, I guess if I was DMing, I'd say, yeah, you can't really detect anything magical coming off of it. Nefira also has arcane lore, but I usually don't allow anybody else to roll. I always rationalize it as the party kind of trusts each other and trusts their judgment. And if Dalnir says there's no magic, then there's no magic. The problem with this whole scenario is that the players might just be like, well, it's fucking useless and throw it aside. Like, it's just a normal helmet. So, yeah, in this case, with the helmet of telepathy, I might throw them a bone and say that she can sort of, like, start to sense... She's like hearing sort of a voice in her head that seems to come from Nefira, or, you know, just some sort of like slight activation of it automatically that gives her a hint that there's more to it. And then it's like, oh, well, like if you concentrate on it, then, oh, you can suddenly read her thoughts. And so, like, okay. And there's all sorts of fringe cases, but usually I boil down to an arcane lore. But I also don't really tend to hide magic items much from players. Like, they know that it's magical. And, like, I probably would have said, yeah, it's a magical helmet. And then they would ask, what does it do? And then they'd roll arcane lore and fail. And like, well, you don't know. You'll have to spend more time later studying it. That's usually how I operate. So it's never really a mystery of whether or not something's magical. But it could be a bit of time before they realize what something does. But I don't do the whole, like, practical thing of they have to, like, use it or experiment with it or all that sort of nonsense. It's like, people just want the magic item. It depends on the group, though. And I could see why some people like that traditional way of doing it. Alright, so I'm going to roll an oracle check. I think it's unlikely they're going to go down that walkway, but maybe they're curious enough. So, a d20 with disadvantage. Will they go down that walkway? No, they are not going to. They rolled a 4. So, they figure they got their big treasure. They got some sort of magical helmet. That thing looks kind of ominous. There's a big door. It's a big stone door at the end that doesn't look like it has any opening from where they're standing. So they're gonna say fuck this, and go back out. And they're gonna go back this way. We're gonna do a couple more on the lights. We're gonna roll another d6. Nothing. They're gonna go this way, go through this door. They end up back in the main room. So they're going to go through this door. They're going to listen at that door. They're not quite done with this place yet. She succeeded. She hears nothing. They step in. We're going to subtract another torch, roll another roll. And we have a random encounter. It is 3. It's the giant crab spiders again. Okay, well, in this case, then, the crab spiders are waiting in this room. Probably on the ceiling. Let's do the ceiling. So this is going to be another stealth check versus a group perception check. I could do individual, but we're going to do group. I think they're kind of nestled up there in the ceiling, camouflaged, and we're not exactly looking at the ceiling most of the time. So their stealth check, remember they get +4, so it's based on a 20. They got a 14 margin, which means we're almost certainly not spotting them again. These crab spiders, man, are insane. I think maybe that's a bit too generous, but maybe it should just be a +2. But it's already a roll under system, and they already have a high dex, so I don't necessarily have to give them any bonus. But I'll give them a +2. So let's say it's a margin of 12 of success, which means that, yeah, we still need Nefira to succeed and one of the others to roll like a 1. Oh, not a stealth check. I'm sorry. Detection. Okay, she succeeded by 6, which is not enough. So we've already pretty much failed. Unless, again, one of them rolls like a 1. Which is not happening. Okay, so they all technically succeeded, but they didn't beat the amazing stealth of these spiders. So we're back in for more business with these fucking crab spiders. So they're gonna get the drop on us. And they're literally going to drop on us. So they get +2 with this bite with advantage. They're gonna drop on, oh, I don't know, let's see here. Nefira and Dalnir. Alright, so dropping on Dalnir. Miss. Dropping on Nefira. Crit. That's bad news bears. Because that's going to be 8 damage and the poison. So she's down to 4. And she's got to roll luck, con, or die. Oh, with +2, I believe. She rolled a 1. Alright, fine. But yeah, the spider slams into her and sinks its teeth deep into her shoulder, and she's not in great shape, but she's still alive. Dalnir easily just deflects this dumb spider. We get an initiative. Great success. All right, Dalnir is going to deal with the one that he's got. No problem, of course. That is a hit and a kill, I believe. Yep, 12 AC, 9 health. He butchers it. No problem. Breathy rushes to Nafira's aid and swings Sink Silver. She hits for 6 damage. It has 3 health left. Nafira's going to try to Bone Saw. She does hit. 12 AC, 5 damage. That is a kill as well. All right, no problem. Now, technically, we could argue my rule of thumb for a significant combat is always at least did a player character take damage. And in this case, Nafira took quite a bit of damage. But I think it's pretty borderline. It was very quick. It was over in 1 round. The enemies didn't even get really an actual turn. Yeah, I think yeah, it was over too quick. I'm not going to allow that as a significant combat, because basically it was like we got hit by a trap, essentially. Like, we got hit by a needle trap, and you wouldn't count that as a significant combat. So, no. Alright, but we're in this room. And, we see there's a large stone door with 3 moons carved into it. At the center, there's a place for a circular object to go. Now, if the players were mapping this themselves, which is often what you would do in the old days, of course, they may not necessarily put together that this room connects to that room we were just in. But I usually use VTT, and players sort of uncover the map as they go and stuff, in which case it would be very obvious that those are connected. So it's sort of a question of, would the characters be smart enough to sort of spatially align themselves and think that this... The best argument, I guess, is that this is the same stone door, so they saw it from the other side, and maybe they think, oh yeah, that's that stone door. So we don't have a key for it, but we also don't really care. So I guess we're going to head back to room 4, and listen at the door to number 5, not Dex. Okay, she crit failed, so she hears nothing. So it's all good. So Dalnir enters. We're going to tick down our torch again, our light. We're going to roll another encounter. We're fine. And we see a few dusty clay pots. Okay, well, how would we cautiously examine these things? Because I recall that one Shadow Dark adventure where the clay pots are filled with, like, an explosive if you shake them. Honestly, the best bet is probably stand all the way back and just shoot one with a bow. That's what I'm going to do. So we're all going to get out of the room. She's going to shoot her bow. Just so it ticks down the arrow count. Or it should be ticking down the arrow count. I don't think it does. Granted, I don't really care that much about tracking arrows. I like that Shadow Dark does it automatically, in which case, like, I approve, and I'll use that system. But if I'm playing in person or whatever, and things aren't tracked automatically, I really don't care. I like the idea of the tension of running out of arrows, and like, oh, you're on your last arrow or something like that. I like the idea of the usage die, where every time you use your bow in combat, you roll, you know, your usage die to see if it ticks down and you're running out. But in practice, it's bookkeeping that most people don't give a shit about and doesn't really add that much entertainment to the game. So I can really take it or leave it. And especially playing solo, if it's not going to track it automatically, then I don't really care. Oh, I see. I would have to set it to... Okay, let's do it that way. And I'm pretty sure we've shot this bow like once. So, okay, hopefully that tracks it automatically. Let me just... No, okay. Not gonna do it automatically. Why would it not do it automatically? Maybe I have to check consumable. I have to put 19 as the amount. Will one of these solutions work? No? No, none of these solutions work. I'd have to specifically click this. No, that doesn't work either. What's the point of the consumable tag then? Yeah, I'm not going to do it manually, so I don't know how it's meant to work. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I don't really care, so whatever. All right, so we shoot the thing, and there is a slim chance, I suppose, that we actually shoot the potion of healing that's in one of these. I think it's very unlikely, so it's a 1 on a d20. All right, so we don't. We shoot a pot, and a two-handed sword pops out of it, which is pretty nice. So we're going to then go open the other one, and we find a potion of healing, which is pretty darn good. I imagine that's represented here. Or does Axe not abide by the idea of potions of healing? It has a healing solve, but that's 1 point of damage once per day. Interesting. All these potions, though, have the same apparent value of 25 gold. So we're gonna... It's 25 gold. Then the two-handed sword plus 1. Is gonna have an apparent value of, yeah, like a masterwork, so 660. I don't know if we want a two-handed sword plus 1. The scimitar is really pretty good. But, yeah, maybe it is worth swapping that out for him. It's a really unique thing, though, 2d5, because it's a bell curve that's going to average out to 6, which with his strength means averages out to 9, which is really pretty nice damage. If we were to go to a two-handed sword, that's 1d10. And that would be 1d10 plus 1. So he would have a nice attack bonus of like 5, which is really nice. And it would do 1d10 plus 4 damage, which would be a minimum of 5. And a maximum of 14. 5 to 14 is a pretty solid range compared to the scimitars. 5 to 13. It's about the averages, isn't it? But that plus attack bonus is a factor. Like, hitting your target more often, a 5% extra chance to hit is pretty nice. The only issue, I guess, is that it's such a unique weapon that I got. I hate to give it up. I'd almost rather, like, try and enchant this to make it a +1 weapon someday. Honestly, we might sell this two-handed sword if we can find a buyer for it. But that gets into a whole other ball of worms, because it is not going to be easy to sell. It's a +1 magic sword, which means that it's worth 5,000 gold. Yep. So we can sell it at a base market price of 5,000 gold, which means that we'd have to find... There's a 1% chance that the Dwarven settlement here will buy it per month. If we find like a class 3 settlement, which is pretty significant, that's a 25% chance per month. We'd have to get to a class 2 settlement to guarantee. We'd have to go to a big city to sell it, and we'd have to lug this thing around for a long time. Yeah. Alright. I'm gonna take it. Obviously, we're gonna take it for the XP value and stuff. but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Okay, and then the Potion of Healing, which, I guess Rethi will take. And that's the same thing as the Scroll of Cure Light Injuries, so it's heals 1d6 plus 1. Alright. And then we're pretty much good. We got our goodies. We've searched this whole place. I think we're done. So this is a long-ass video. Holy shit! What the hell is wrong with me? Also, if you're watching this, what the hell's wrong with you? Nothing. Nothing at all. You're perfect. Alright, we are vacating. We're going back the way we came. So that's another... I mean, the light's going to run out, but let's roll one more of these. We're good. Creep back across the water. We'll roll one more there. We're fine. Light goes out, and we are out of there. Done deal. Fresh air, baby. Our first dungeon completed. So now we're going to go back across the water. We got one more. This is again on a 1 or a 2. Okay, we have one more encounter here. It is 1. That's going to be the water termites eating our boat. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so this is going to be... we have to see if they're approaching. We already know what these things look like, and we know that they like to eat wood. So we already know this is going to be a big problem if they come up unhalted. So they're going to roll a stealth check. I think we're giving them a dex of 12. Okay, so they succeeded with a margin of 0. This is a group perception check from us. All right, that's a big success from Nefira, which can cover up somebody's failure. Success from Dalnir, so already we've already succeeded. No problem. We see these things coming. Good. So then it's a matter of the distance at which we see them. Various schools of thought, of course, for that. Wasn't there... oh, there isn't guidelines for... Could have sworn that was somewhere in OSE. But apparently not. That was somewhere in here. I could have sworn. Okay, well then... Yeah, fucking Axe goes into way more detail than I really want to get into. So here's Shadow Dark's very simple system. It's a 1 on a d6, they're within 30 feet. 2 to 4, they're within 60 feet. No, a 1 is within... That's close. That's like up in your grill. Isn't it? Yeah, 5 feet. Okay, so they come up like right under the boat. Okay, yeah, then 2 to 4, they're up to 30 feet. 5 or 6, they are out to 60 feet away. Again, Axe goes into way more detail if that's something you're interested in, but we're just going to stick to this. All right, so we actually see them pretty far, sort of skimming across the water towards our boat. Which is good. I mean, that's very good. That was the best result. Because we probably can outrun them. We don't have... Well, the OSC is going to have stats for that, right? No. Oh, it does, yes. 40 feet. Okay, so yeah, we can definitely outrun them with the rowboat. They're not super fast or anything. They're just pretty fast. If we were swimming, we'd be fucked. But we're in a rowboat. So, Dalnir is going to speed us out of here. He's going to do his... Constitution check to drive us out. He succeeded. And Nefira is gonna shoot some pot shots at these things to scare them off. She rolled a natural 19, 8 damage. Jesus. Well, she doesn't quite kill it, but she did roll D10 on the missile table. Oh, 1 is not very fun at all. Yeah, I'm really hungry now that I've looked at the time. Suddenly my stomach's like, holy shit. What are you doing, man? What are you doing to us? Missile table 1, duck for cover. They've abandoned their next action to hunker down behind cover. Yeah, so one of them, like, scurries off into the water, and the other 2 abandon us as soon as we speed out of there, because Dalnir's a god. Again, a lot of... That could have gone a lot differently if they had popped up right next to us. Things could be a lot different with these encounters if we were swimming in the water or didn't have our boat or something like that. But we've been pretty fortunate with this lake, so I'm happy. We get back to shore. We bring the boat finally back to Taggart. All is well. We get to tally up our XP now. So the two-handed sword, valued at 650 gold, apparently. So at 650 XP, well, 660 technically. The scroll of light injury, cure light injury, that was valued at 150. 150, done. Next, we had the leather armor +1, which is 670. Yep. And we had the helmet of telepathy, which was 1500, I believe. If I recall that. $2,500. Oh my god. So good. We're gonna level up again. We also got the potion of healing, which is 25. And that might be... Oh no, the scroll of arcane armor, another 150. We also killed some stuff if we want to tally up those numbers. We killed a total of 4 of the giant crabs. So those are 2 each with the asterisk. So that's 29 each times 4. Or just 29, 29, 29, 29. We killed the giant gecko lizard, which was 3+, I think. So that was 65. Did it have an asterisk? I gotta check. Did not. Just 3 + 1. And that was it. That was all we killed. So that's our total. Okay, so now we have to tally this all up. 660 plus 150 plus 670, 2,500, 25, 29, 29, 29, 29, 65. 4,336 divided by 3. 1,445.3. Excelente. So let's say Dalnir now is at 3,446, 3,445, 445. Sure. Something like that. Yeah, something. Well, or would 2 of them be at 6? Never quite sure how that works out. No, one of them would be at 6. Right. Okay. So that's correct. Pretty good haul for one dungeon. We're nearly level 3. It's going to slow down a lot after that because we have to get another 4,000 XP and then like another 8,000 XP or something like that. So it's going to slow down, but yeah, we're only 555 off from level 3. And then we get our unique feature, which is always really nice. And more spells. It's all good. This is going pretty well, I gotta say. This is a big part of why I like Tales of Argosa, especially for solo. Like, it's not just like some random dice fest of combat where it's like, oh, there's another TPK, okay. Like, I actually get to play through modules and enjoy it. Like, yeah, it's much more casual. It is much easier. I'm never going to argue with that. But for me, it's more fun. And for the people I DM for, it's more fun. So, to each their own. Also, I would never really play Tales of Argosa as written. I think we've gone over that enough times. There's too many aspects of it that I just don't agree with and I don't think are very good. But as a foundation, it's super strong. And then combined with Axe, it goes Super Saiyan. I also would never play Axe on its own. Together, though, peanut butter and jelly. Well, that's not even really a good comparison. I don't know if there is a good... It's like two things that aren't good, but when you combine them... I don't have an analogy for food, but there's something. It's good. Alright. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.